Good morning. It is 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're sitting at 41 degrees right now. Should be a gorgeous afternoon with sunshine and 76 degrees. More on that right after the news. President Trump is speaking on the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin today about a ceasefire in Ukraine. ABC News Chief International Correspondent James Longman reports from Kyiv.
This will be the first known conversation between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin since Ukraine agreed to that 30-day interim ceasefire. But there's real concern here that Vladimir Putin is just trying to cut Ukraine out of the process, speak directly with Donald Trump and not agree to the ceasefire. Donald Trump has said that he and Putin will discuss land, power plants and dividing up certain assets. But Ukraine says territorial concessions are not negotiable and that it's not up to Russia who gets to join NATO.
More on this as we get more information on it later today. Patient care at VA hospitals will not change with DOGE-related staffing cuts. That's the message from VA Secretary Doug Collins in a visit to Nashville's VA Medical Center yesterday.
I'm not sure interior designers, laborers, and file room clerks who were part of the first layoff that we had are going to be actually affecting an appointment being missed or surgeries being canceled.
Collins went on to say the Democrats are lying about the cuts to spread fear.
But yet when they stand on TV and tell you that this happened, they're lying. I'll put it straight North Georgia term. They're lying.
What would be the benefit of spreading that misinformation?
Politics. They don't. Look, I'll let them figure out why they like to lie to the American people, but that's on them because I'm just giving the facts.
15% of the VA's 300,000 employees are on the chopping block. At least 40 of them have already been cut from the VA in Tennessee through being laid off or through buyouts. Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Stocks rallied Monday, coming off 4 straight losing weeks. The Dow was up 353 points. The S&P rose 36 and the Nasdaq gained 55. The Federal Reserve Board expected to weigh conflicting trends at its Tuesday and Wednesday meetings to determine possible interest rate cuts. On the one hand, inflation improved last month, but then tariffs could push it higher in the next few months. Plus, business and consumer confidence is down, with Americans shopping more cautiously. The Commerce Department said today that retail sales rose only slightly last month after a sharp drop in January. Sales rose at grocery, home and garden stores and online retailers, but they fell at auto dealers, restaurants, and electronic stores. Pepsi is buying prebiotic soda brand Poppi for nearly $2 billion. The brand took off after a Shark Tank appearance 7 years ago. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Stock futures are edging down just a bit. We've got Dow futures minus 25. NASDAQ futures are down 42. The S&P futures, they're down 6 points. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Just some minor delays this morning on 24, the westbound side, as it merges with 40, but really no delays to speak of on 65, and 40 also looking in great shape. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 89.7 W10. How are you, friends? Welcome on in. It is Tuesday, March 18th of 2025. A very busy news day ahead. Let's get right to it. By the way, the Super Text line is open at 615-737-9986. We've got all the latest on Pardongate. We've got all the latest on the Penn Gate. What is it? Auto Penn Gate. We've got that as well, and a whole lot more. By the way, some news overnight. Israel has now started bombing Hamas again. Hamas apparently, here's a shocker. They refuse to release more hostages. I'd be willing to bet that they don't have any more hostages that are living, but that is the latest coming out of the Middle East as well. So again, a very big news day. Also, the astronauts, astronauts that have been stuck in space for 9 months, they are now apparently on their way home. That is a very big news. So we'll continue to talk about and cover that as well. So again, just a very big news day. So let's get right to it. Donald Trump policy director talking about the flights and flying all of these illegal alien gangbangers back to, well, they're going to El Salvador. But here's the interesting thing. In watching the media as they're covering all of this, you know, they're obfuscating what is really happening here. There was, do I have my phone? No, it's over there. Hold on one sec. I'm sorry, everybody.
Don't you love when this happens?
Professionalism at its finest.
Here's the deal. I wanted to do this, and my phone is way over here. But I was talking to Joan about this yesterday. One of the local TV stations really angered me, and I want to pull up my X feed here because it was like, is that really your headline? Here it is. WKRN, News 2. You want to know what their headline was?
Tell us.
Their headline was, Trump administration deports hundreds of migrants despite a judge's order stopping removal. So I want to get this straight. Channel 2, you're talking about Venezuelan gangbangers. You're talking about people who have murdered and raped. They have beaten people. They've robbed folks here in America. Of course, we all know about the drugs and everything else, the human trafficking that Tren de Aragua does. And WKRN Channel 2 calls these folks migrants. Do you see why people believe that local television is dead? Because that headline obfuscates what really is going on. And for Channel 2, I think that is an embarrassment. That is not journalism. That is carrying the water of Donald Trump critics. Now, they do, in fairness to Channel 2, they do eventually get to the fact down in the story that these are gangbangers, eventually. But they know darn right well what they're doing. What they're doing is they know that people don't always read the entire story. And a lot of people go with just the headline. So what they're doing is they're preying on the uninformed. They're preying on the uninitiated. And they know that a lot of folks, again, they don't read the whole story. But, you know, if you are somebody who is a news consumer and you're listening to WTN, Nashville's Morning News, so you are a news consumer, you know how misleading this headline is. And so shame on Channel 2. And, you know, it's a wonder why people say journalism is dying. It's because of this kind of headline from WKRN Channel 2. And I called them out, by the way, on X. You can follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show. But, you know, that's how the media is trying to play this as Donald Trump is doing everything he can to get rid of these Venezuelan gangbangers. You had, Tren de Aragua, MS-13 as well. Trump policy director, I don't know if you saw this. I need some audio. Trump policy director Stephen Miller goes nuclear as he defends shipping out these gang members because, it's so interesting how Channel 2 and all of these members of the media and the Democrats, because of their Trump derangement syndrome, they're being forced to take sides with literally the worst in society, the worst people in the world. And that's their Trump derangement syndrome speaking. I mean, how many people are out there defending these Tren de Aragua gang members? Oh, besides that judge, right, Boasberg. So the judge says, oh, no, you've literally got to turn this plane around. We want them back in America. It is stunning to me. And so Stephen Miller is on Fox News, and they triggered him by playing audio from none other than Andrew Weissman.
We're not at war with Venezuela. We're not at war with the gang that is the subject of the executive order. There is no invasion that is going on. And you also have to show that the people you're removing are actually part of that gang, even if there were an invasion or a war. And this statute may, in fact, be very unconstitutional.
So the crux of the question is using the Alien Enemies Act legal? Is that Constitution? Applying it to these illegal alien gang members? Now, I believe that Donald Trump is absolutely spot on, and I'm going to tell you why as the program continues to unfold. But that audio from Andrew Weissman absolutely triggered Stephen Miller.
So first of all, Andrew Weissman is an absolute moron. He is a moron, and he is a fool, and he's a degenerate.
There you go. So that's what Stephen Miller thinks of Andrew Weissman. Clearly, by the way, these two have a history. Weissman, I don't know if you remember, but he was part of the Mueller investigation. He was like Mueller's bulldog, if you will. So he was the one that brought charges against Paul Manafort. He's very aggressive, and the Donald Trump camp, they absolutely hate this guy because we all know that the Mueller investigation, as Donald Trump says, was a witch hunt. And so they played that for, I think that Fox News they were deliberately trying to trigger Stephen Miller because they do have a history, and there's not one Donald Trump supporter or conservative who knows the history of Andrew Weissman that takes this guy seriously.
Andrew Weissman has devoted his career to putting innocent Americans in jail, taking away their civil liberties. He was involved in the Mueller coup against a democratically elected President Donald J. Trump. Weissman should never be on TV anywhere. He should hang his head in eternal shame for what he's done to this country.
So remember that the networks love to put on those with a history of going after Donald Trump as analysts. You know, people like John Brennan. I can't believe that John Brennan is still on television. And others who protected Joe Biden at every turn. These are the kinds of people that get jobs either at, the networks or cable news channels and so forth, and they make their living these days off of Trump derangement syndrome. Andrew Weissman is one of them. Again, John Brennan is another. James Comey is another one. Peter Strzok. Every once in a while, I see Peter Strzok out there on, I think it's MSNBC, but the list goes on and on. And so the resistance isn't just out in the streets. The Democrats, they have their little chants, they sing their little songs, and they have their little signs and so forth. But the resistance isn't just out in the streets and in Congress. It's also on the networks as analysts.
And now he's up there shilling for people who rape and murder Americans. That's who Andrew Weissman is. Behind every single one of those terrorists was another future rape victim, another future sex trafficking victim, another future murder victim.
Yep.
And most importantly, every one of those people was here illegally. They have no right to be in this country for 1 second longer. They are illegal aliens, they are foreign terrorists, they are alien enemies.
So there you go. I got to tell you that he has a very effective argument, and I've got some audio coming up. Stephen Miller, and he probably was one of the main architects of Trump using the Enemies Act to deport these folks. And I would almost guarantee you that this is going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. But I've got the crux of Donald Trump's argument coming up, because I do believe that this is, if they have an honest look at what is actually happening, that the courts will decide that Donald Trump is on the correct side of the Constitution. My reasoning is coming up next. It is 5:16. Time to check the roads on WTN.
No delays so far this morning. Looking very good on the major roadways heading in. Checking on 24. Just a little bit of a delay as you round that curve into 40. Otherwise, looking good on 24. 40, no problems this morning. 65, looking pretty good. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Weather today, a high of 71 and sunny, 44 now at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right. So the key word to all of this is the word invasion, right? Is this constitutionally sound? Using the Alien Enemies Act, Trump knew that it was going to be controversial. This was used way back in 1798, designated for deportations in case of invasion. And so on the one hand, the easy putt here is, what would you call 14 million illegal aliens coming into our country over a period of about 4 years? That's what Joe Biden did. But you know what would seem to be one of the counter arguments is that this was a government-encouraged invasion. We not only allowed it, but we welcomed it. Biden and his administration welcomed and encouraged this invasion of all of these illegal aliens. But that is the key word, the definition of invasion. Article 1, Section 4, the Guarantee Clause. It states that the United States government shall guarantee to every state in the Union a Republican form of government and shall protect each state against invasion. And the Biden administration clearly failed in all of that. So some say that the word invasion is meant to be defined as an organized military from another country. Others will say the word should be applied here, as millions of people from other countries are coming into our country to commit crimes or just to create chaos. Now, I want you to listen very closely to what Stephen Miller says in this statement. Fox News.
People say, oh, it's an 18th century law. You know what else is an 18th century law? The Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights of the United States. The founding generation gave us this law, gave President Trump this law to repel this invasion from our country.
And it was
all detailed in the proclamation, how this gang was sent here by a foreign government and President Trump is sending them out of this country.
All right, so you heard that last part right there where he says that Venezuela is sending these bad guys to our country. The government of Venezuela is sending these bad guys to our country to create chaos, among many other things. Do you remember the other day? This was like a week and a half ago, and I only did the segment once, and I should have done it more because I thought it was a really good segment, if I do say so myself. But it's all about weaponized migration. Now, if you missed the segment, I'm going to replay some of this audio. It's audio from a guy named Joseph Humeyer. Now, Joseph is a national security scholar, and he has been studying this notion that our enemies are weaponizing migration to bring down our country. And the bottom line is, and I'm going to play the audio coming up before Jones newscast at 5:30, the bottom line is that what he's saying is that all of these Tren de Aragua gang members coming in from Venezuela, well, Venezuela is really acting as a proxy for our enemies. That would be China. That would be Iran. That would be North Korea. I think he throws Russia in there as well. And so they're weaponizing migration to try to bring down America. That's what Venezuela is doing. I'm going to play you the audio. It is great audio. And I think that this is part of what Donald Trump is doing, is he understands that these illegal alien gangbangers, Tren de Aragua and MS-13 and so forth, Venezuela is sending them into our country to sow division and chaos, and they are working as a proxy for America's enemies. That is weaponized migration. That is why they're talking about how these gangbangers, Tren de Aragua, came here courtesy of the Venezuelan government. And that's why he feels like he can use the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Some great audio coming up. 521, Joan Jones, what's coming up in the news?
Dan, SpaceX rocket is bringing a couple of astronauts back home today after a long stay in space. And one of them is a native of Mount Juliet. What his colleagues have to say. Also, the parents of the college student who went missing in the Dominican Republic, they have made a heartbreaking decision. Tell you about that coming up here at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
526. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so what is weaponized migration? And is this the justification that Donald Trump has to use the Alien Enemies Act? Because to me, it does make a lot of sense. I played this audio for you earlier, almost a week ago. This is Joseph Humeyer. He is a national security scholar. He's been studying this notion that our enemies are weaponizing migration to bring down our country. He actually embedded with these migrant caravans a couple of years ago, and this is part of what he had to say. This is in front of Congress.
What I discovered back then in Guatemala is that the Central American caravans were planned, financed, organized, and steered by state and non-state actors to cause chaos in Guatemala, Mexico, and eventually the United States. How do I know this? I know this because I embedded with the Central American caravans and interviewed hundreds of migrants, but more importantly, saw firsthand who was behind this. It was a series of politicized NGOs from Honduras who were receiving money from U.S. and European charities, but more importantly, were getting guidance and direction from an anti-American adversarial nation state.
All right, so as it applied to the whole definition of invasion, well, you just heard him say state and non-state actors. In other words, instead of using tanks and missiles to try to take over a country or take down a country, our enemies, and yes, I believe that Venezuela, they are clearly our enemies, are taking these illegal aliens and they're using them to try to take down our country, using mass migration. Of course, many of these folks, bad guys.
That state is the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, who worked with the Honduran NGO known as Pueblos Sin Fronteras, which is Spanish for People Without Borders, who then worked with a series of NGOs and charities inside America, notably in California and Chicago, to create the Central American caravans. Now, this begs the question, why would the Venezuelan government care about illegal immigration? The answer is because Venezuela is a proxy of China, Russia, and Iran. They all understand that mass migration can be employed as a weapon of asymmetric warfare to erode national borders, steal sovereignty, and eventually have the United States collapse from within.
So you got four nations that are trying to take us over and using illegal immigration as a way to do it. Weaponized migration. Venezuela, China, Russia, Iran. They're trying to destroy America through mass chaos on the borders. And you've got all these people coming over, many bad guys sent over by, of course, these nations and the cartels. Remember, they're trying to manipulate America with all of these people coming in. Again, this concept of weaponized migration.
Remember, China's whole warfare strategy is based on submission, to have America give up without fighting. Far from a problem of root causes derived from socioeconomic hardship, natural disasters, or high levels of insecurity, which is abundant in all parts of the world, the center of gravity of the U.S. border and immigration crisis that enabled no fewer than 14 million illegal aliens to enter the United States in just 4 years is weaponized migration, an academic concept that has empirical evidence and an abundance of political science literature behind it. Weaponized migration is when state and non-state actors catalyze, manipulate, and or induce mass migration to achieve political and geopolitical objectives. Weaponized migration suggests that criminal illegal aliens inside the United States do not merely arrive here by accident. They were sent here by America's enemies and adversaries.
So seems to me like the word invasion and how Donald Trump is using it is constitutional in this sense. It is 5:30, Nashville's Morning News on WTN.
Good morning, 5:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. NASA's two stuck astronauts are due back on planet Earth today aboard a SpaceX rocket, and one of them is Butch Wilmore, whose home roots are in Mount Juliet. He's also a Tennessee Tech graduate where he is an active board member. The school's president, Phil Oldham, tells News 2 he's looking forward to welcoming Wilmore back.
You know, we've been nervous and anxious for Barry, but every time we've had a chance to speak with him, he's calmed our concerns. He knows the importance of what he's doing, and he knows the risks that are associated with it. But there's something inside him that drives him to say, "Hey, if that's possible, I want to try that.
Splashdown is off the Florida coast early this evening. At Vanderbilt University, officials confirming the school is one of dozens of higher institutions being investigated by the Education Department for allegedly violating civil rights laws by offering race-based scholarships and programs. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon saying that students must be assessed according to merit and accomplishment, not prejudiced by the color of their skin. University of Kentucky is also part of that investigation. There's been a major development in the case of a University of Pittsburgh student missing on spring break. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert.
Parents of Sudiksha Kunanki are now asking officials in the Dominican Republic to officially declare their daughter dead. She hasn't been seen for 12 days. Sources say her mother and father sent a letter to police acknowledging there's no evidence of foul play. We could learn today whether authorities will release Joshua Reeby, the man believed to have last seen Kunanki on the beach. He says they were hit by a large wave.
That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather just ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
No delays this morning. So far, there is just a volume delay, perhaps, starting out on 24 as you make your way into the Laverne area, and then again at the curve into 40. But 40 is looking good. 65, no problem so far. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.536, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 89.7 WTN. Good morning to you, folks. How are you? Joan Jones is here. Hello, Joan.
Hello there.
KGB is here, too. Hello, KGB.
Hello.
So you can tell he's enthusiastic this morning.
Always.
So a couple of things real quick. Have you heard? I'm going to say something that might be controversial. I hope it's not. No. I'm going to do it this way.
Oh, God.
KGB. Joan, watch this. KGB.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Anka, dead or alive?
What?
Paul Anka, dead or alive?
I do not know.
Okay.
I think he's alive.
You think he's alive, Joan? He is not only alive, but he's also rewritten My Way.
Oh.
To honor Donald Trump.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
That's pretty cool.
Where was the controversy here?
Well, because I was going to say I didn't know if Paul Anka was dead or alive.
Oh.
So then
And you don't even know who Paul Anka is.
I do not.
There.
Oh, got it. You don't know who Paul Anka... Well, whatever. All right.
I was thinking, I don't know why my brain went here, but my brain went to the song Wanted, Dead or Alive.
That would be Bon Jovi.
I know, but I don't know why it went there.
And Bon Jovi is very much alive.
Yes.
Not sure about his career.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Oh, him?
Paul Anka's Put Your Head on My Shoulder?
Yeah. Oh, I love that song.
Okay, well, there you go. Not sure if Nickelback may have covered that. I'm not sure.
There's nothing wrong with Nickelback.
Wait,
Or
Paul
Creed.
Anka is actually a Canadian.
Oh, is he really?
Oh,
Yeah.
now I can't like him. Sorry.
Yeah. He's Canadian-American, as they say.
Well, apparently he's also a Trump fan. And this is how he rewrote My Way. Donald Trump actually posted this on his Truth Social. He says, what a wonderful guy Paul
is a retreat. It's so complete, this transformation. And yes, we cheer what you've done here. It's very clear that you're no novice. I bet you can't wait to renovate that oval that Oval Office.
He sounds really good. How old is he?
He
We can
is 83.
You could wipe out the national debt if plans go awry. Hey, what the heck? You just sit down and write a check.
There you go.
We'll all relax. No inheritance tax when we vote your way.
It's Paul Anka.
That's
I
pretty
love it.
amazing.
I do. I think it's very cool.
I legit didn't know he wrote My Way for a long time.
Now, but you've heard the song.
Oh no, yeah. Well, because
that's right.
Frank
Sinatra did that.
Sinatra probably made it as popular as it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so Paul Anka did My Way first, and then
Correct.
Frank Sinatra did it second.
He did a cover, yes.
Okay.
Kind of like when Johnny Cash's "Hurt." That was actually not his song.
Right. I forget who did that. Who did
Nine
Hurt
Inch
before?
Nails.
9 Inch Nails. That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they were so impressed. They said, "Yeah, that's his song now," which I think is like the biggest compliment you can give someone. It's like, I wrote this song, I sang the song, but this guy did it so much better.
Yeah. No. That's very true. And I got to tell you, the more that you know, the more that you hear of some of these songs that were remade by later artists, you realize, yeah, they were much better with the second artist. I've never actually heard Hurt by Nine Inch Nails? Never actually heard it.
He sings it so softly, it's almost uncomfortable.
Trent Reznor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and it's not Crown of Thorns, it's Crown of something else. And it's just, the lyrics aren't as good. And obviously, I think of it as a Johnny Cash song.
Okay. Well, and I think everybody does.
Yeah, 100%.
So Elon Musk, congratulations to Elon. This is a very big day because he was able, and we covered this extensively yesterday, he was able to rescue the 2 astronauts. An 8-day trip turned into 9 months. And have you seen the video of the astronauts being rescued? It is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It is amazing.
Yep.
And now they're not going to be able to just get off the. I'm going to warn you, folks, what you're probably going to see. Apparently, they're going to be stretchered off of the ship.
Yeah, they cannot get their legs under themselves that quickly.
No, because they've been floating all this time.
Yeah.
So they're going to be stretchered off. And they got to go through some transitional kind of period.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be really interesting to watch. And, you know, you were mentioning Butch Wilmore. He is from Mount Juliet. I don't know if he was born in Mount Juliet, but that's where I live. And, you know, he is there's a couple of signs or something with his face on it, his picture on it and so forth.
Where's yours? I mean, you live there.
Where's my picture?
Your pictures and... You know, the Dan Mandis Highway?
It's in the post office. It's on the wanted.
Gotcha.
It's on a wanted poster.
Yeah.
Wanted poster.
Nobody cares about me, trust me.
2025.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you, Joan. Where's Dan Mandis Way?
Exactly.
I think that'd be very appropriate, as a matter of fact. I'm just kidding. Hey, Elon Musk. Speaking of Elon Musk, so good on Elon. He's had a run of good luck. Like he had, of course, the thing that exploded a couple weeks ago. This, though, was huge. Rescuing these, because there is, like it or not, this is a political thing.
Well, don't we have to wait until it splashes down before we do congratulations? I feel uncomfortable doing that yet.
All right, listen, if something goes wrong,
yeah,
KGB, take this whole video down. I assume that everything's going to go fine. Let's hope they splash down and everything's going to be fine. I'm sure that it will be, and I'm sure that they're excited to come home.
Oh, I bet.
I hope the Mount Juliet has a Butch Wilmore parade. Do you think they will?
Cool.
How cool would that be?
Yeah.
You know, once all of this is over, and I would love to. God, can you imagine getting him on the show?
I was about to say, like, do you think it's possible to him to wake up at 3 a.m. to come join our show?
Listen, he's been through worse.
This is true.
So, you know.
I mean, he was supposed to go on an 8-day vacation and turned to 9 months. So.
Well, I don't think he saw the 8 days as a vacation. However, yeah, I can't imagine. And it almost, do you know what I wish? I would love to have a cup of coffee with him. He won't, but I would love to have a cup of coffee with him and find out just how ticked off he really is. Do you know what I mean?
About
being stranded up there for 9 months.
Yeah.
One cup of coffee with these, like, I wish I was in space again now.
But based on the conversation.
No, because you said that. You said he wouldn't, so now I made the joke.
I think that for Wilmore, I would love to hear how he really feels about being stranded. Because, you know, he can't really say how he really feels, can he?
I don't think so. And based on that conversation that he had earlier, when he said, Elon Musk doesn't have to rescue us. He's coming to get us, but we don't need rescue.
Oh, he needed a rescue.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's measured in his responses. So I don't think you get the whole, I'm really mad at Boeing for leaving us up here.
If you had a private conversation with him, I'm sure he would go off, though. Like, I'm sure there's, like, in like,
you're gonna have to be off
safe space kind of thing.
I want to be Butch Wilmore's best friend.
Yeah.
And I want him to tell me, like, all the dirt. Like, how ticked off he is.
Go out to drinks. And
get him drunk.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. Get him drunk and find out the real stuff. I'm just kidding. Whatever. Anyway, Elon Musk, have you heard this audio? This is crazy. Elon Musk was on a podcast with Ted Cruz, and he talks about these 14 magic money computers in the federal government that basically they send money, as he describes it, out of nothing. It's just like, here you go. You know, this money is just created out of nothing, apparently. I want to play this audio because I do find this really interesting. You've got Elon Musk and you've got Ted Cruz.
One of the things you told me about is what you call
insane.
Magic money computers at the Treasury.
Well,
so tell us about it, because I never heard of that until you brought that up.
Okay, so you may think that that the government computers like all talk to each other, they synchronize, they add up what funds are going somewhere, and it's it's coherent. That there's and that the numbers, for example, that you're presented as a senator, are actually the real numbers.
One would think.
One would think. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they're not totally wrong, but they're probably off by 5% or 10% in some cases. So I call a magic money computer any computer which can just make money out of thin air. That's magic money.
So how does that work?
It just issues payments.
And you said there's something like 11 of these computers at Treasury that are sending out trillions in payments?
They're mostly at Treasury. Some are, but there's some at HHS, some there's one or two at State. There's some at DOD. I think we found now 14 magic money computers.
14, okay.
They just send money out of nothing.
That is crazy.
How?
You know, the more
I
that
can't
we
even
find,
imagine.
the more that we find out about how our government operated. And by the way, I don't believe this is just a Biden thing. I think that the Biden thing made it worse. But hearing how our government operates, and it is so far outside the realm of how we live our lives, our everyday lives. And it's almost like, well, no wonder we're in the mess that we're in, because this is the kind of stuff that we've been doing. And for the average American who is struggling to pay bills, you know, you hear what the government does, and this stuff, not only does it not make any sense strictly from an economic standpoint, from a bookkeeping standpoint, from an accountability standpoint, our government has been running roughshod over the notion of accountability.
So when you hear people on the left disparaging Elon Musk and President Trump for doing these things, what's your justification? That part still escapes me. How is it that taking something like that, where magic money is being made, and stopping it from happening, because that's the dollars that I earn, that you earn, how is this a bad thing? I'm not sure I get it.
Well, remember what I said earlier, which is that the Trump derangement syndrome, there's some audio out there I want to get of this Democrat strategist who is really calling out the party for their Trump derangement syndrome, because what it's doing is it's forcing the Democrats and the Trump derangement syndrome people to take the craziest, bat crap crazy stances for Tren de Aragua, for MS-13, for magic money being concocted out of thin air with absolutely no bookkeeping or accountability or anything. And so you're right. It doesn't make any sense. And the more that the Democrats do this, the better it is for us. Obviously, it's been well discussed on this show and others. But it just, they don't seem to really understand how silly they look, because they do look silly and they do look irrational. And so the more that they stand up for all things that are anti-Trump, it really is turning into good versus evil. I mean, isn't it? I mean, when you look at Tren de Aragua and all that, it truly does look like the Democrats and this Judge Boasberg, where they are looking at this and it truly is good versus evil. And they're taking the side of evil. It's the craziest damn thing I've ever seen in my life. And I never in a million years thought that I would see, I mean, an entire political party take the side of murderers and rapists. But then when you look at the Democrat Party and what they stand for, what does the Democrat Party stood for over the last 4 years with Joe Biden? You've got what's been going on in the big cities, where you have these Soros-funded DAs And so you've got all these bad guys getting off, and they go out and they commit crimes, and then they don't press charges again against them. They got old ladies getting beaten up in the street, no charges filed. You got people walking in and they're stealing, $999.99 worth of stuff from a Walgreens, and no charges are filed. And so this is just the next step for the Democrats, because they are becoming more and more and more and more extreme, to the point now where they are literally siding with the worst people on earth. It is so crazy, isn't it?
It's just amazing to me. And I hear, online, especially on places like Facebook, where people talk about, their political beliefs a little bit more now. I see these people posting things about how Elon Musk is just making decisions that make him wealthier.
No.
Like, honestly, seriously?
That's like
the man is losing money hand over foot.
I was thinking about this. Again, KGB, I want to do the poll in a second. But I was thinking about this, where there's so many amazing things that Elon Musk is doing, helping blind people see, helping crippled people walk, helping, all the good things that he is doing. And, I've thought about maybe he should just go back to that, because he is doing such incredible good. But I love what he's doing with Doge, and Republicans do as well. So I'm a little conflicted on that one, because there is a lot that he does need to focus on, because he is doing a lot of good. All right, now, I want to know from you, Joan Jones and you, KGB, two very politically astute people, which press secretary do you like better? Now, watch us on YouTube. Watch us on Facebook as well. But like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can take the Daily Dan poll every single day. So which press secretary do you think is better? You've got Kayleigh McEnany or Caroline Leavitt. Now, both of these ladies, unbelievably good.
Yeah.
Wait. What about Jen Psaki?
No, they were terrible.
Gasoline-colored hair, Jen Psaki.
And KJP, not KGB.
Cringe Jean-Pierre.
Yeah.
No, obviously they were terrible, but they spun their lies well. But who do you think, which of these two is the better press secretary for Donald Trump? I was driving in today and I was listening to some audio of Caroline Leavitt, and man, and I've got it coming up in the next hour, but she is so good on everything. She took out Caitlin Collins. I don't know if you heard this. Murphy had so much fun with that audio yesterday. I've got it too.
That was cool.
But Joan, who do you think is better, Caroline Leavitt or Kayleigh McEnany?
You know what? I think Kayleigh McEnany, she's the OG. She led the way for how to do this the right way. And
okay,
I'm partial to her. I think she just did so well.
KGB?
See, I'm also looking at like how they interact with the press, and I'm also thinking like which one got the worst of it, because I think Kayleigh got the worst because it's the first administration.
Yeah.
So I had to give her like kudos, but I think Caroline went in guns a-blazing, and I appreciated that as well. So I think I got to go with Caroline, because she hasn't really skipped a beat since starting.
Right. I think you bring up a really, really, really good point, KGB, which is that Kayleigh McEnany came in and the media was so incredibly hateful. And I do understand the media is hateful against Caroline Leavitt, but the reality is that Caroline Leavitt is coming in at a time when it's clear that Joe Biden was a failure. So she's coming in with an I told you so attitude.
Yeah.
Kayleigh McEnany came in at a time when,
TDS was at the top.
Yes, that's exactly right. So I'm going to go with Kayleigh McEnany. Joan went with Kayleigh McEnany. You go with Caroline Leavitt.
Hang on. A lot of people on the super text line are saying, hey, what about Sarah Huckabee Sanders?
Oh, yeah, she was
she was pretty bad, too. Bad as in
bad
good.
As in good.
Yeah.
Then Sean Spicer? No, I'm kidding.
No, Sean Spicer.
No, I'm kidding.
No.
Those SNL sketches were funny, though.
You know what? All right, do we add her to the list? Listen. What's the poll say now?
Caroline Leavitt's got the lead at 76%.
Really?
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised.
Do people? I don't know. Do
early.
Recency bias? You think?
Maybe. Let me ask you this: are enough people saying what about Sarah Huckabee Sanders Are enough people saying, what about her, that we added to the poll? Do we change the poll?
Only one person has mentioned her.
No, that's not true.
Where, you see a second one?
Listen,
I see more.
Listen, changing the Daily Dan poll has got to be as difficult as amending the Constitution. Okay? I'm just saying.
No.
Good Lord. Can you imagine?
All right. Well, we can
You know
skip
what?
her
Why
for
don't you go ahead and add her to the list?
All right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Joan wins another one. Because Joan Jones,
This
mom
is
of
the
the show.
only place I win anything, so.
She's also got the 6 o'clock news coming up. Hey,
Yeah.
Joan.
So the hostages stopped being released, and Israel is now bombing Gaza again. We'll take a look at it. Also, President Trump says he's releasing some hidden files today. We'll tell you which ones. Those stories and more coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning, 6:01 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got a stalled out car on 24 westbound at the Blue Hole Road overpass, and that's causing some delays this morning. We'll check more on that right after the news. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has checked off one of its most wanted off their list. They, along with the Gallatin Police Department, have arrested Little Paige Drake, whose wife was found dead earlier this month in Gallatin. TBI considered him armed and dangerous and offered a reward for his arrest. The head of Veterans Affairs says cuts are coming, but veteran care remains the first priority. Doug Collins visiting the Nashville VA Medical Center yesterday.
Look, I feel bad when anyone loses their job. I've lost my job. I've been told you're fired. I've been told you're letting go. I know what that's like in life, and it's not easy, but we're still going to provide for our veterans and for their communities.
Collins saying that the agency's restructuring is all about providing better quality patient care while cutting bureaucracy and fixing long wait times. Israel restarted a bombing campaign on Gaza overnight, the first bombs in 2 months, as hostage releases have stalled out.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he ordered the strikes after Hamas refused to release more hostages. Hamas says Netanyahu has decided to overturn the ceasefire deal. Negotiations have stalled, with neither side able to agree on a path forward. Israel says this new offensive will continue as long as necessary and could expand beyond just airstrikes.
ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reporting. Well, hopefully this won't get the Epstein treatment, but President Trump yesterday said the JFK files are coming.
We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this. And I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's going to be released tomorrow.
Tomorrow being today and potentially sometime this afternoon. He was on a visit to the Kennedy Center in D.C. yesterday when he made that announcement. Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Stocks regained a little lost ground to start the week. The Dow Jones Monday rose 353 points to close at 41,841. The S&P picked up just over 0.5%. The Nasdaq added 0.33%. Pepsi is going big on prebiotics, buying soda brand Poppi for nearly $2 billion. Poppi found itself in the middle of several class action lawsuits last summer over its claims that its product improves gut health. Ever wanted to own a big league baseball team, or at least a tiny piece of one? The family that owns 95% of the Oakland A's is offering shares totaling $2 billion to help finance a new domed ballpark in Las Vegas. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Stock futures all pointing down. We've got Dow futures minus 96 right now. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather on next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. It's a stalled out car on 24, the westbound lanes past the Blue Hole Road overpass this morning. Careful, the stalled out car is on the right shoulder, blocked off there and causing a lot of folks to take a look over there. Watkins Park, a stalled out car in, this is Davidson County, stalled out on the right shoulder. It's blocked 40 eastbound, just before Charlotte Avenue, exit 209. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.607, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you being here. Along with KGB, producing Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. And the latest on Donald Trump's canceling of Joe Biden's pardons. I'm having a hard time deciding which story I like more. The canceling of Biden's pardons or all of the Trende Aragua, well, not all of them, sadly, but these gangbangers being sent to El Salvador. They're both great stories. And no matter where you turn, and I feel like I've said this a couple of times now, no matter where you turn, there is good news at every turn. There was some good economic news yesterday, some great polling news for Donald Trump as well. And I think that's part of what is sending the Democrats into such hissy fits as the Trump administration continues to do really well. But as we all know, President Trump blew everybody's mind early Monday morning when he decided that he would be canceling the pardons of Joe Biden because he used AutoPen. But it's not about the AutoPen. And you are going to hear me say that probably 15 times during this monologue because, like usual, the leftist media, they're really obfuscating the truth. It's not about the AutoPen. It is about Joe Biden's state of mind or lack thereof. So this will obviously, as you know, and we talked about this yesterday, this is going to impact Liz Cheney, Anthony Fauci, the Biden family, the entire January 6th committee, and so forth. Now, this became a heated topic last night on CNN with Scott Jennings. Of course, we all love Scott, and he is up against, I think it was 4 crazed progressives who are just spitting mad at what Donald Trump has done.
You have to be fair about it. If you say that it's a problem to not run this by DOJ,
no,
it's got to be a problem to not run other
little transparency.
He pardoned 1,600 January 6th convicted January 6th rioters, including people who assaulted
and
police.
talk about doing it for months.
And yeah, but it didn't go.
There's no question that some unnamed family member did it on his behalf. We don't know that about Biden.
Just to be intellectually honest, you would also have to say that should have gone through a process, and it did not.
Well, to be intellectually honest, why are you denying all of the mainstream reporting about who was actually running the Biden White House?
That's a change,
including reporting.
You were just saying that this had not been run by DOJ. But
tonight we are all about changing topics when questions are being asked. But I just want to note that is not what we were discussing.
The problem is,
I love how. Yeah, you ever notice this with Scott Jennings, where when he stops talking, you've then got these 4 people just dying to chime in. But again, the question isn't about the AutoPen. The question is about Joe Biden's state of mind. Many presidents have used AutoPen. I mean, it goes back years and years, actually, this process. The question is actually about whether or not Biden actually knew what was going on. Daily Mail has this whole thing this morning reporting the first to use the type of AutoPen was actually Harry Truman. And all presidents except George W. Bush have since also used it, including Donald Trump. George W. Bush commissioned the Justice Department way back when to look into whether or not using the auto pen was actually constitutional. And they did come back and they said yes. Again, it's not about the auto pen. It is about Joe Biden's state of mind. And did he actually know what was going on? The media is trying to make this look like it was about the auto pen, but it is about Joe Biden's state of mind. Just like, this is typical of the media. So think about this, just if I can divert 1 second. Mahmoud Khalil, that story. They kept trying to say, oh, it's about free speech. It's not about free speech. This story about Mahmoud Khalil is not about free speech. It is about the fact that he was encouraging vandalizing. He was encouraging the assault of Jewish students at Columbia University. He is affiliated with this organization that does support Hamas. There's a dozen different reasons why Mahmoud Khalil should be deported. But the press is trying to make this about free speech. Just like in this case, they're trying to make the auto pen story about auto pen when it's not. It is about Joe Biden's mental cognition at the time that he was in office.
But first on the president's post overnight saying that the pardons that were issued by President Biden preemptively to members of the January 6th committee, that they're now null and void. Have attorneys here at the White House told President Trump that he has the legal authority to undo a pardon simply because it was signed by auto pen, as he said?
All right, so you hear exactly how she framed the question. Caitlin Collins, by the way, from CNN, of course, and this was the response from Caroline Leavitt.
Did the president even know about these pardons? Was his legal signature used without his consent or knowledge? And that's not just the president or me raising those questions, Caitlin. According to the New York Post, there are Biden officials from the previous White House who raised those questions and wondered if the president was even consulted about his legally binding signature being signed onto documents. And so I think it's a question that everybody in this room should be looking into, because certainly that would propose perhaps criminal or illegal behavior if staff members were signing the President of the United States autograph without his consent.
Biden is on the record talking about issuing preemptive pardons to these people.
But was he aware of his signature being used on every single pardon? That's a question you should ask the Biden White House.
Is there any evidence on that he wasn't aware of it?
You're a reporter. You should find out. Sean.
And of course, everybody loved Caroline Leavitt when she said to Caitlin Collins,
the Biden White House.
Is there any evidence on that he wasn't aware of it?
You're a reporter. You should find out. Sean.
I love that.
If you have an inquiring mind.
Slam dunk on Caitlin Collins. You know, there have been so many times that we have talked about the lack of willingness of the media to really look at matters that would not portray Joe Biden in the best of light. One of the things, and we talked about this way back when, was when the New York Post came out with the Hunter Biden laptop story. And instead of these other media, because you know how it works, right? Well, Joan, you certainly know how it works. Story comes out, New York Post, Hunter Biden's laptop. And instead of the New York Times and the Washington Post and ABC and CBS and NBC and CNN all looking at that story and then continuing on with the investigation or continuing on with the story, they were all just really fast to just deny it.
Dismiss it, yep.
They dismissed it. They denied it. They tried to destroy his credibility. And then, of course, we had the 51 former intelligence agents that came out and past and current intelligence agents that came out and say, oh, it's Russian disinformation. And then that's all the media did. There was a lack of journalistic interest or curiosity in looking into that story, where any other story, you would see the media piling on. So if it's, okay, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, and you've got this laptop, let's look at where the laptop came from. Let's look at the allegations. Let's tap into our resources in the FBI. Nobody did that. And the New York Post, their story was spiked so that it would help Joe Biden. And so I love when, you've got Caitlin Collins.
The Biden
Is
White
there
House.
any evidence on that he wasn't aware of it?
You're a reporter. You should find out. Sean.
Here's the funny thing. So when the media and the reporters, I'm going to air quote that, the reporters or the narrative peddlers, they refuse to look into exactly what's going on with this story, well, then that just tells you that they don't really care because it's a story that makes Joe Biden look bad, Donald Trump look good. But here's the other part. If they really dive into this story, then they will once again be faced with having to deal with the fact that they ignored Joe Biden's cognitive impairment for 4 years. Details straight ahead. 6:16, time to check the roads on WTN.
Eastbound before Charlotte Avenue, disabled vehicle blocks the shoulder. No problems on 65 or 440. I'm Christy O'Brien.
Weather today, a high of 71 and sunny right now, 44 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The Biden
Is
White
there
House.
any evidence on that he wasn't aware of it?
You're a reporter. You should find out. Sean.
I feel like we're back in 2024 when the mainstream media was reporting that Biden was sharp as a tack before, of course, George Clooney told them that it was okay to write about and talk about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. Everybody knew that Joe Biden was not sharp as a tack. He wasn't. Everybody knew it, and everybody knows that now. So when Caitlin Collins says, do you have any evidence of that Joe Biden, he didn't know what he was auto-penning or whatever, let's just look at what the Wall Street Journal reported and the New York Post and Fox News, eventually the Washington Post, eventually the New York Times, and yes, even George Clooney, where they came out and they did say Joe Biden is not fit for office in one way or another. They said that Joe Biden, who was it? I forget who it was. There was a congressman, maybe you remember, Joan, who was a congressman, maybe it was a senator, where Joe Biden would sign things and he had absolutely no idea what the heck he was even signing. I forget who that, Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson came out and he said, and this was about a month or two ago, where he said that Biden signed something and Biden had no idea what the heck he just signed. I'll have to find that story. But if you accept the fact that Joe Biden didn't always understand or know exactly what legislation he was signing, then you can't sit here and tell me that he knew what legislation was being auto-penned. There's absolutely no way. And that is the point about these pardons.
That story was that President Biden didn't know. He had no clue whether or not he signed an executive order. That House Speaker Mike Johnson brought that to light. So Barry White, Weiss make that, said that Biden didn't think he was lying when he said that he never issued the order to freeze new liquid natural gas export permits.
Okay.
But he did sign that, and he just didn't remember signing it. So
that's the thing.
That's what it was over.
There's obvious evidence, and I just rattled off five different newspapers, television, cable, whatever, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, 5 different journalistic entities who all have come out and said Joe Biden was not all there during his administration. So when Trump says his whole justification is Biden used AutoPen and we don't have confidence that Biden actually knew what was being signed in his name. And so for Trump to say, you know what? I'm just going to call it, and I'm going to open up investigations. I'm going to dismiss these pardons for Liz Cheney and Anthony Fauci, the January 6th committee. I think Trump is basically daring the other side to say, okay, then you prove to us that Joe Biden was mentally fit for office. That's number one. Remember what the special counsel said when they're looking at Joe Biden and looking into his own classified documents issue. And they said, well, we're not going to press any charges because the jury would look at him and say, well, he's just a forgetful old man, right? I mean, there's all this evidence out there that Biden would have no idea what was being auto-penned in his name. And so to me, this is Donald Trump saying, you know what? Then you prove that he was actually fit for office, and you prove that he knew what was being auto-penned or signed in his name. Because there's plenty of evidence that shows that he had no idea what was going on. And if that is the case, then Trump is right. Now, will this actually come to fruition? Will this probably go to, I don't know, Supreme Court, wherever it's going to go? Yeah, that's probably ultimately what is going to happen. But, I mean, I think Donald Trump is spot on. And by the way, again, the reason the media isn't real happy with this story is because, once again, it brings to light the fact that they ignored his mental impairment, and they did for a lot of years. So it's a really interesting story, and it's actually, to be honest, one of my favorite stories that we've had in a long time, because not only does it implicate the Biden administration, but it also implicates the media as well. And I just love those kind of stories. It is 6:22. Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan, what's up?
Well, coming up here at 6:30, we'll tell you about a story about the Tennessee Senate voting on a new bill that ultimately would end up in voters' hands. We'll explain coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Do I really sound like that? The whole high, oh, very cool. Do I sound? Is that what I really sound like?
Do you really want to know?
I played the fifth.
Moving right along, Dan Mann is here with a question for you. If your roof was destroyed in a storm, how much of that replacement cost would your insurance company cover? Now, if you don't know, you really do need to ask, because some insurance companies, they refuse to pay full replacement cost. They're going to deduct money for an older roof. And this means that the insurance company is depreciating how much they pay for your roof claim. If you've got an older roof, and I cannot say this enough, if you've got an older roof, your insurance company could end up paying you less money, and that's going to leave you on the hook for thousands of dollars. Now, my friends at King & Associates Insurance, they will pay full replacement cost. So whether you have to replace a 10-year-old roof or a 2-year-old roof, they will pay for it to be replaced, period. It is that kind of focus on customer service that makes King & Associates Insurance one of the best insurance companies around. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-329-8121, 615-329-8121. Get your royal review at tkinginsurance.com. 627 Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here. You know, for me, my backyard is my oasis, and I bet a lot of you folks feel the same way, which is why that I'm so glad that Save a Tree came into my life. Save a Tree can help your trees, your bushes, your plants, and your shrubs look amazing. So if they're sick, Save a Tree can nurse them back to health. And if they don't look right, well, Save a Tree can make them look incredible with proper pruning. Now, Save a Tree did come over to my house, and I told them my issues with my plants and my shrubs. They did give me great suggestions on how to fix my crepe myrtles and my shrubs. Look, spring and summer is coming up. You want to make your backyard look as amazing as possible. Save a Tree can help you do that. They are actual arborists who can do wonders for your back or your front yard. See how beautiful your yard can be. Set up your own evaluation at saveatree.com. Spelling is important. SAVATREE. Saveatree.com, or simply dial pound 250 on your smart device and say the keyword Save a Tree. That's pound 250, keyword Save a Tree. .629 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. One of these super texters asked me if I had this story. I do. Joan, did you see this just real quick?
What is it?
Donald Trump has decided to end the Secret Service for the Biden family members.
Sir, there were 18 Secret Service agents protecting Hunter Biden in South Africa this weekend. Who's paying for that, and do you plan to revoke the Secret Service protection?
Well, we have done that with many. I would say if there are 18 with Hunter Biden, that will be something I'll look at this afternoon. Okay?
Sure.
I just heard about it for the first time. So you have 18 Secret Service going. Where is he exactly?
In South Africa.
In South Africa. And South Africa, you know, is on a watch list. You know that. Because what they're doing to people is brutal. And I've stopped having money go to South Africa. You know that.
All right, so that is Donald Trump, and he is indeed canceled the Secret Service for Hunter Biden and I think
Ashley.
Ashley.
And I have coming up what the media reaction is to that story.
Oh, I'm sure it's hair on fire.
Oh, yeah. Well, you'll be surprised.
18 Secret Service members for Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
18.
Yeah.
That is insanity. I wonder if part of their job is to keep him away from hookers and blow.
Well, of course.
Listen, I'm just asking questions.
Yeah.
6:30 on WTN.
Good morning, 6:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Couple of trouble spots on 24 this morning. On the westbound side at Antioch, got an accident that's over to the shoulder this morning on the right side. It's right at Blue Hole Road overpass. And then on the 24 eastbound side, things are a mess at Talbot's Corner right at I-65 because of a crash that's on the left shoulder. More on that right after the news. The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas appears to be over now. Israel's United Nations ambassador Danny Danon.
The Israeli Air Force initiated a series of attacks against Hamas targets in Gaza. We will show no mercy on our enemies.
Reports say hundreds are dead after this latest wave of airstrikes on the Gaza Strip this morning. Israel frustrated after Hamas broke a previous deal and stopped releasing hostages. The Tennessee Senate voted to pass an amendment to the state's constitution that would deny suspects accused of committing violent crimes bond at the judge's discretion. And here's how that vote sounded yesterday.
Ayes 23, nay 6. Senate Joint Resolution 25 having received.
It comes after several accused criminals who were out on bond were arrested for new, even more violent crimes. Now, if the House approves, the amendment will be put to Tennessee voters to decide. President Trump has cut off the security detail offered to President Biden's two children, Hunter and Ashley Biden. Here's NBC News reporter Gabe Gutierrez.
It is common for family members of former presidents to have Secret Service protection. Actually, typically they get it for up to 6 months after their parents leave office, but it's up to the discretion of the president.
It's up to the discretion of the president. In his announcement, President Trump made note of Hunter Biden's dishonesty over his finances. Hunter recently dropped a lawsuit because he said he couldn't afford the lawyers, but now he's on vacation, as Dan just mentioned, with his Secret Service detail in South Africa.
They said it was a high-falutin hotel, too, right there on the beach.
Of course it is. It's the Bidens.
Right.
That is the latest news.
I don't understand, though, Joan. You know, he sold all that art.
Right.
Like, how
the
is
straw, the blowing the paint through the straw art? That one?
That one, yes.
Yes. And then he, smushes it together, opens it back up again, and look, it's a picture.
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't, first of all, I don't buy that Hunter Biden is broke. I also, and here's the deal. Trump's kids, after he got out of office, they did get 6 months of Secret Service protection.
Yes.
So just so everybody knows that I know, and remember also that everything that Trump does when a Democrat president ends up in office again, we're going to get all this on us. So just so everybody knows that everything that Trump is doing right now, it's going to happen to,
to his children.
His children,
Yep.
the previous president, whatever. So anyway, just so everybody knows, I know, so you can't call me a hypocrite. Yes, I know that Donald Trump media, by the way, had a frenzy over Trump's kids still getting that Secret Service protection. So
They did.
Anyway, moving right along.
So that's the latest news.
right.
We've got your traffic and weather next. Joan Jones, WTN News.
All right, very good. Thank you. 634. Look, the pre-summer stress really is starting to kick in. How confident are you that you're ready to slide into that bathing suit? Now, if you need help, like so many of us do, check out my friends at Contours of Cool Springs. They are experts in red light technology. They can help you lose up to 2 inches of fat in that first session, or it is absolutely free. Now, I did this and my pants are noticeably looser. And if you're not satisfied, then your session is free. Now, these folks, Contours and Cool Springs, the only place in Tennessee with this cutting-edge red light technology. So folks come from all over the place to experience what Contours has to offer. Find them online, contoursllc.com. But right now, Contours is offering you a $99 belly buster special to the first 10 callers right now. That is normally a $600 value. First 10 callers right now for $99, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. First 10 callers, you're going to save $500 on that belly buster special. Find them online, contoursllc.com. Mathew Hertz coming up in 60 seconds, the Glock store. Now, listen, America is full of gun stores, but here in Middle Tennessee, my home for all things two-way is the Glock store. Whether it is training, buying, or upgrading, you can count on the Glock store. One of the reasons why Glocks are the most popular handguns in America is there's so many different ways to customize with performance parts. Now, you've got night sights and competition triggers and red dot optics. There's so many different ways to upgrade your firearm. By the way, I've done all of these. They can do it at the Glock store for free and while you wait. There's always a gunsmith on duty, and yes, you heard that right. You buy the parts, they will install them for free while you wait. There's a lot of reasons to like the Glock store. Free parts and installation is just one of them. Now, find them online. Two great websites, shoot270.com and glockstore.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out.
It's an accident eastbound side of 24 at Talbot's Corner right there at 65, and it's off to the left shoulder. Jolton, 24 westbound side at Whites Creek. It's an overturned vehicle. The two left lanes are blocked there. And then at the eastern split this morning, 40 westbound at the off-ramp to eastbound I-24. That crash is on the off-ramp. Center and right lanes are blocked in that instance this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.639, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into the program, Mathew Hertz, our grassroots political analyst. Mathew, always great to have you on. Can you shed some light? Why does Hunter Biden need 18 Secret Service agents at a cost of $500,000 for his exotic South American vacation?
Dan, it's clearly in order to protect those national treasures, his artwork and painting. You know, I met former Vice President Al Gore on campus at Middle Tennessee State University back in 2008 or so, and he had one Secret Service agent. I'm pretty sure it was the first Secret Service agent ever commissioned by the agency, an older guy in the corner of the library. But this is just, again, another instance of a two-tiered system where Hunter Biden gets 18 Secret Service agents is absolutely outrageous. And I think Donald Trump is making a good move here in reducing or even eliminating that number of protective agents.
Ashley had 13. And again, same thing applies. I don't know why one person, and by the way, most people could not pick Ashley Biden out of a lineup. I do understand, though, that they are the children of a former president and one that is not real popular. But I agree with you. I believe that it is ridiculous to have. I mean, I understand a couple, I guess, but 18? I mean, that's just ridiculous. Anyway, moving on from there. The thing that I would say, the only thing that I would say, as I said right before the break, is that everything that Donald Trump is doing right now, when the Democrats, if and when the Democrats ever get a president in office again, and obviously they will, then all of this is going to come back to our side, correct?
Absolutely, and you and I have talked about this before. Whatever the government does under the Biden administration within the bounds of the law, The Trump administration can then do and cycle up, and then again in the next administration, whomever that is. And so we do need to be careful about weaponization of government. I think many of these instances of Donald Trump enacting, be it executive orders or other directives, or actually right-sizing the government so as to turn it back from what has happened over the last few years of the Biden administration. So ultimately, a lot of this is good news, and in the long run, I think it reduces the likelihood of the weaponization of government in the future.
So what do you think about this whole auto pen controversy? Now, media's, I went on and on about this earlier in the hour, but media is trying to make this about the auto pen. It's not about the auto pen. It is about Joe Biden's state of mind, and did he actually know what was being signed in his name?
You spent a good amount of time in the last segment about this, and I think your assessment is pretty accurate here. What did Joe Biden – the question is, was Joe Biden cognizant enough to know what was going on? And conservatives were called conspiracy theorists for the first half of his administration. Only in the last several months did Democrats admit begrudgingly that this was an issue, and then when they switched out Kamala Harris to be on the top of the ticket, that's when they sort of knew everything was tumbling down around them. This is a serious question. Was Joe Biden not necessarily in the room? Did he push the button? Those aren't the questions. It is, did he know what was going on? In particular, some organizations, some even left-wing activist organizations, as the Biden administration was approving these pardons at the end of his term, they were asking questions about why didn't the Department of Justice talk to us about some of these people. So, they often say that D.C. is run by 23-year-olds, and I imagine there was an office in the executive office of the president right off the White House pushing that auto pen button over and over again without Joe Biden's knowledge.
One of the things that folks on the conservative side are arguing over is, all right, so if you've got, let's just take one or two examples, Liz Cheney and Anthony Fauci. So part of the conversation is, well, if they have these pardons, then if they get called in to testify, then they don't have to use the fifth, right? So they have to answer the questions. If all of a sudden these pardons are null and void, then are they able to or allowed to use the fifth?
That's an excellent question. I'm not a legal scholar, but what I do know is that Senator Paul, in the transition period from November to January, said that people like Anthony Fauci and others, if they were brought before a hearing or a committee to testify again, they would simply perjure themselves again. So what ends up happening is there are actual crimes that people engage in, and then there are what I call process crimes, and those tend to be lying to federal agents, lying to a committee under oath. Those kinds of process crimes are what I suspect these individuals would wind up, on a rap sheet, if you wanted to call it that, if they were to testify or appear before a committee again in the future.
One of the things that I find interesting, and there's an example of it almost every single day, is the fact that the media tries to make an issue about one thing when it's really about another. For example, the auto pen, and it's not about the auto pen. It's about what Joe Biden either knew or didn't know, and when didn't he know it. And so that's part of the discussion here. Tren de Aragua, you have a lot of these, a lot of the media out there who are trying to make this about migrants and not about Tren de Aragua. I know that you're from Middle Tennessee, Mathew Hertz. I'm going to read to you a headline that absolutely triggered me, and it takes a lot to trigger me. But I'm going to read you a headline from one of our local news stations that triggered me, and I'm going to read it to you as an example of biased media. That is coming up. Mathew Hertz joining us, 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Ramp 24 East, exit 213, accident blocks the center and right lanes. Jolton, 24 westbound at Whites Creek Pike, overturned vehicle blocks the 2 left lanes, and Talbot's Corner, 24 eastbound at 65 north, accident on the left shoulder. I'm Christy O'Brien.
As far as your weather goes for today, weather a high of 71 and sunny. Right now, 44. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Mathew Hertz joining us. Channel 2, Matthew, here in Middle Tennessee. Trump administration deports hundreds of migrants despite judge's order stopping removal. I mean, what a BS headline from WKRN News 2, because these aren't, migrants. These are gang members, gang bangers. These are guys that have broken the law. These are people that have done abhorrent things. They're affiliated with one of the most bloodthirsty gangs in the world. And you've got some of these media outlets, including WKRN Channel 2, who describes them as migrants. In other words, they're obfuscating what's really happening here. Now, admittedly, when you go into the story, they will report that they are from Tren de Aragua, but they know darn right well that people don't always read the crux of a story. They just go by a headline.
Absolutely shocked this isn't a Phil Williams investigative report, but we've got the same issue here in Arlington, Virginia, where on Saturday last week, the county board articulated its position on working with ICE, and dozens of masked illegal immigration activists showed up and said, you can't collaborate with ICE. Meanwhile, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, just 2 weeks ago, they arrested 241 illegal aliens in Arlington and in Fairfax, many of whom were 18th Street Gang, MS-13 gang members. And so this is exactly what you've said. The media wants to make it about something else or obfuscate or confuse to create a sympathetic character when these individuals, by and large, have neck tattoos, they've committed felonies in their home country, they've likely committed crimes in this country, and they violated, the most important part, they violated federal immigration law to be in this country illegally. And it is the wherewithal and the responsibility of the federal government to secure the border, and Donald Trump and his Homeland Security and Tom Homan at ICE are doing just that, and it is causing some consternation with the people who want to drive a left-wing narrative.
One of the things that I find really interesting, Trump's polling is doing really well. Democrats' polling shows the party is in disarray. But the things that Donald Trump is doing is forcing the Democrats, because of their Trump derangement syndrome, is forcing the Democrats, because they can't help themselves. They always have to be the exact opposite of where Donald Trump is. So in this case, you've actually got the Democrats and people in the media, they're forced to take the side of some of the most vile, repulsive human beings on the planet. I think that even if there is a constitutional question here, and maybe there is, maybe there isn't, they'll work all that out. But even if it's a bad look for the Democrats and the media when they are out there complaining that Donald Trump is deporting illegal alien gangbangers who have done horrible things. It's just no wonder they're in disarray. It's because they just can't help themselves. Even if Donald Trump is doing something good, they're going to complain about it.
Orange man bad is not a philosophical alternative that the American people want to embrace. And even, in fact, yesterday I saw a map on Twitter, on X, that shows the reapportionment in 2030 after the census. States get reapportioned their electoral votes, and it looks like states like California, like New York, like Washington State and Oregon are going to lose electoral votes, and they will go to places like Florida and Texas, reliably Republican in their electoral votes. And so not only is this a problem in the short term, but it's a problem in the long term for the next 10 or 15 years as voters realize the failed policies of people like Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, although on the CR he caved, quote unquote, and he may receive a primary challenge from the left. And we may see instances like that in 2026 and 2028.
Yeah, people are saying AOC might challenge Chuck Schumer. You think that's actually going to happen?
It would be interesting to see. We see it in the Republican Party. You know, you'll have a moderate Republican who will be challenged by someone on the to the right of that individual, and it really depends on whether or not that person can build a grassroots movement. Also, with senators and congressmen who've been in office for a long time, they end up doing constituent services, and the statistics show that if a congressman or a senator has provided a constituent service for someone, they can guarantee that vote another 3 elections. So there is the power of incumbency, and it is to be determined in these midterm and the next presidential election.
All right, Matthew, how can people find you on X?
I'm on X at Mathew Hertz, MattHewHurtt.
All right, we'll talk to you again sometime soon, my friend. It is 6:52. Joan Jones, another friend, is in the WTN newsroom. Joan, what's coming up?
I'm so honored. Coming up here at the top of the hour.
You just have to keep saying nice things about me, Joan. You got to start like now.
Oh, I have to start now. Okay, I'll think of something and I'll come back with that. In the meantime, let's do some news, shall we?
Sure.
Okay. So patient care at VA hospitals, that has been questioned now that there are some DOGE cuts. But the head of the VA has been in Tennessee, and he's got more to say about what is coming for VA hospitals, especially here in Tennessee. That's coming up at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Now get to thinking. It is 6:52 on Nashville's Morning News. Every night at homework time, I thank the Lord for Xfinity Internet. Now, we can stay connected with Wi-Fi coverage that delivers the speed we need, and you can too. You know, I do all kinds of fill-in work and show prep from home. Amy works from home as well. Of course, we have Riker gaming. He's doing his homework and all that entails. And so we do rely on Xfinity for rock-solid internet. And again, I use it every single day. All of us do. Now, homework and our jobs don't wait for the internet to work. You do need a reliable connection, even when everyone is online and working. We do, again, rely on Xfinity. And by the way, if there are issues, they've got 24/7 customer service here for you whenever you need it. Within home Wi-Fi support. So get the best Wi-Fi for your life, whether it's doing homework with the kids or work for the paycheck. Rock solid internet is only a phone call away with Xfinity. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 1-800-XFINITY, 1-800-XFINITY, online Xfinity.com, or drop into an Xfinity store today for more details. Dan Mandis here for Brentwood Jewelry. Listen, this place has been in business for over 50 years, proudly serving the Brentwood community with exceptional style and exceptional deals every single day. This is a terrific family-owned and operated business spanning not one, not two, 3 generations. Brentwood Jewelry, they are deeply rooted in this community. You know, Salem, he served in special forces. His sons also serve as local firefighters. This is a great American family, and Brentwood Jewelry is a great jewelry store. This is my jewelry store. So if you have, you know, a graduation coming up, you've got maybe a birthday coming up, maybe an engagement ring you need, All these things. Brentwood Jewelry can help you, and you can check him out online. It is brentwoodjewelry.com. Find him online, 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. And again, find him online, brentwoodjewelry.com. Tell him Dan Man just told you to reach out. Brentwood Jewelry, exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. All right, so Joan, I don't know if you've heard what actually happened on one of those deportation flights.
Uh-oh, what?
It is great. Well, I'm going to tell you coming up after your newscast.
Oh, I gotcha.
Also, watch
That's a
us.
tease.
That is a professional radio broadcaster tease. Also, take a look at us on YouTube. Watch and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And take the Daily Dan poll. Who is your favorite Donald Trump press secretary? Kayleigh McEnany, Caroline Leavitt, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. We'll have the details so far, again, coming up after the news at 7 here on WTN.
Good morning, 7 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got to watch it heading in on 65 in the northbound lanes around the Brentwood area. There is an accident and the HOV lane has been blocked off at Old Hickory Boulevard because of it. We've got more in traffic and weather right after the news. In the news, things heated up in the Middle East overnight with Israel launching a wave of airstrikes across the Gaza Strip. They were angered that Hamas had been stopped releasing the remaining hostages that have been held for the past 527 days.
To be very clear, Israel will not stop until all of our hostages are back home. We will make it very clear to the Security Council that if they want to stop the war in Gaza, they have to ensure that the hostages are coming back to Israel.
That's Danny Danon. He's Israel's ambassador to the UN. He said that Israel will show no mercy. President Trump will speak on the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin today about a ceasefire in Ukraine. ABC's news chief, international correspondent James Longman is reporting from Kyiv.
This will be the first known conversation between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin since Ukraine agreed to that 30-day interim ceasefire. But there's real concern here that Vladimir Putin is just trying to cut Ukraine out of the process, speak directly with Donald Trump and not agree to the ceasefire. Donald Trump has said that he and Putin will discuss land, power plants and dividing up certain assets. But Ukraine says territorial concessions are not negotiable and that it's not up to Russia who gets to join NATO.
Patient care at VA hospitals will not change with DOGE-related staffing cuts. That's the message from VA Secretary Doug Collins yesterday in a visit to Nashville VA Medical Center.
I'm not sure interior designers, laborers, and file room clerks who were part of the first layoff that we had are going to be actually affecting an appointment being missed or surgeries being canceled.
Collins went on to say the Democrats are lying about the cuts to spread fear.
But yet when they stand on TV and tell you that this happened, they're lying. I'll put it straight North Georgia term. They're lying.
So what would be the benefit of spreading that misinformation?
Politics. They don't. Look, I'll let them figure out why they like to lie to the American people, but that's on them because I'm just giving the facts.
15% of the VA's 300,000 employees are on the chopping block. At least 40 of them have already been laid off or taken buyouts from the administration. The Trump administration has been ordered to submit a sworn declaration to a federal judge by noon today. Court watchers, however, say that may be more than the Trump administration is willing to do based on the arguments in court yesterday about those detainees that were deported off to El Salvador over the weekend.
The judge tried to begin with a somewhat conciliatory tone, saying that the entire hearing was basically about fact-finding, that he just wanted to learn a little bit more information about what exactly happened here and if the order had been complied with. And the lawyer for the Department of Justice immediately said they're not going to provide any additional information, that it was a national security concern, that this was a diplomatic issue, and that this lawyer was just not authorized to provide any additional information.
That's ABC's Peter Haralambos. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stock futures all pointing down. The Dow futures minus 65 right now. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, it's a mess this morning on 24. The westbound lanes at Whites Creek and Joelton, that's an overturned vehicle, and 2 left lanes are blocked off. Some rubbernecking delays before that, too. Also, out at the airport, 40 westbound at Briley Parkway East. There is a crash reported in that spot this morning. And if you're traveling in Brentwood on 65 northbound lanes before Old Hickory Boulevard, that's an accident scene as well this morning, and that's causing a big backup as well. Got a crash in Inglewood on K Hall Avenue at Scott Avenue. And at the Eastern Split, it's a crash on 40 westbound, the off-ramp to 24, and the off-ramp there is blocked off in parts. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.706, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends, along with Joan Jones. KGB is producing. So a couple of things real quick. Watch us on YouTube and also like and subscribe to the channel. You can find our podcast anywhere. You can stream us anywhere. Daily Dan poll over there on YouTube, if you watch us there. Who is your favorite Trump press secretary? Kayleigh McEnany, Caroline Leavitt, or Sarah Huckabee Sanders? And what do the numbers say, KGB?
So Caroline Leavitt's still running away with it at 57% of the vote. Kayleigh
McEnany.
Wow, I just had a stroke there. 25%, and then Sarah Huckabee Sanders at 18%.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders was very good, but she wasn't there all that long.
Yeah, we were talking about this off air, and also she didn't have any of those put downs that those two had. She was actually more just like pleasant. I don't know if that's the right word, but she was just more like just positive.
Yeah, she was, and I really liked Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Did you have an opinion on this, Joan?
On who I like?
Kayleigh, Caroline, or Sarah Huckabee Sanders? Kayleigh's your fave?
I'm a Kayleigh fan because she was the model. She was the old guard. She developed the way to go about hitting back at the press.
All right, 708.
At the dishonest press. Sorry.
It's okay.
Unbelievable. You interrupted him.
Yeah.
708, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan can interrupt me anytime.
Good point, Dan.
Yes.
That's what we like about Joan Jones. She can interrupt me anytime. Matt Gaetz. So we're talking about, I just got a couple of things real quick, then I'm going to get into some other stuff. But Matt Gaetz, we all know that all of these bad guys deported, whole big controversy. We've been covering that not only yesterday, but this morning as well. But Matt Gaetz, he's got an internet show somewhere, cable, I don't know what, Newsmax maybe, I don't know. But I saw this on the socials where he's talking about what those Venezuelan gangbangers did on that airplane that was heading to El Salvador. Listen to this.
My sources have informed me that the Venezuelan terrorists actually tried to take over one of the planes transporting them to Central America. They fought on the planes, they resisted movements, all until they got to the plane's threshold and saw what was waiting for them. When they saw the Salvadorian show of force in San Salvador, the fight just drained right out of them.
Yeah, I mean, they got off the plane, and there had to be hundreds of El Salvadorian military or law enforcement there, and they had nowhere to go. They had no weapons, and pretty soon, do you see what they do to them, Joan?
Yeah, with the heads down.
They shave their heads.
Yeah. I love the way they make them walk. It's humiliating. It's, they disengaging. They can't fight with each other doing that.
Well, describe how I didn't know how they were walking.
Oh.
How are they walking?
So they walked them out of the plane. They're in shackles on their feet, and their hands are shackled. And then they push their head down, so they're walking bent over so far that they have to put their eyes all the way up to be able to see what's ahead of them.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that because they've got to break their spirit.
They do.
And so, I mean,
They do.
we'll see. And CNN is doing this investigation or whatever it is on the prison that these guys are going to be going to or are now at in El Salvador, unless the Democrats want to, of course, bring them back to America. And, I mean, you're talking about solitary confinement. You're talking about cells where the only daylight they get is from a hole in the roof. And it's a very small hole at that.
They don't get a whole lot of food and water. So I've read reports that this prison is especially horrible, and they don't get a whole lot of food. So the prisoners end up fighting each other to the death to get food.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, so they kind of take care of the population problem all by themselves.
Thank you, Joan.
Yeah.
7-Eleven, Nashville's Morning News. By the way, just talking about the White House press secretaries real quick. This was a question posed. Joan, yesterday we were talking about the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
And how, was it somebody in the French Parliament? Is that who it was?
Yeah, they asked for it back.
They want the Statue of Liberty back?
Yeah.
So this came up during the White House press briefing.
There is now a member of the European Parliament from France who does not think the U.S. represents the values of the Statue of Liberty anymore. They want the Statue of Liberty back. So is President Trump going to send the Statue of Liberty back to France?
Absolutely not. And my advice to that unnamed low-level French politician would be to remind them that it's only because of the United States of America that the French are not speaking German right now. So they should be very grateful to our great country.
There you go. Love
Bam.
it. That's right? I mean, that is a mic drop if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that you got to love Caroline Levitt. Although I do agree that Kayleigh McEnany was the original, and she was facing a lot more hostile media than Caroline Levitt is. I mean, Caroline has been able to reshape the White House press briefing. She's been able to bring in more people, and she has also put some of the other more mainstream outlets, like, for example, the AP, some of the more leftist outlets, I should say, to the back of the room. And she's been able to more shape the White House press briefings to her liking. Kayleigh McEnany, she was facing a far, far more hostile crowd. But as I said earlier, Caroline Levitt, she's got, and we've got, as conservatives, we've got 4 years of Biden disaster. And every single one of those so-called journalists in there that was there during the Biden administration, where they refused to cover Joe Biden accurately or fairly, well, now they're sort of on their heels. And so Caroline Levitt can go in there. Caroline Levitt can go in there and she can say, listen, you proved yourselves unworthy over the last 4 years when you refused to cover Joe Biden honestly or fairly. And when I say fairly, I mean that fair as far as the American people are concerned, because we as conservatives were screaming about how Biden was not all there cognitively and that the border was open when they said that it was closed and secure. So the media was unfair to the American people and to conservatives because we saw exactly what was going on. So I think there might be some recency bias going on with Caroline Levitt. I think there might be, but I do like her an awful lot as well. But Kayleigh McEnany, again, she faced a lot more hostile of a crowd. It is 7:15 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads.
Jilton, 24 West Creek Pike, overturned vehicle blocks the two left lanes. 44 found. At BNA, 40 westbound of Bradley Parkway East, accident moved to the shoulder, and Brentwood 65 northbound before Old Hickory Boulevard South, accident on the shoulder. I'm Christy O'Brien.
7:15 as far as your weather goes today. High and 71 degrees. It's going to be sunny as well. High of 71 and sunny. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I don't know if you folks know this woman, Molly Jang. Is it Fast on CNN? But she is one of these commentators, and she's talking about the left-wing policies of the Democrats. And it is her contention, because we're talking about, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but Trump's doing really well in the polling. Democrats, not so much. I shared with you briefly yesterday that the polling for the Democrats, they are literally at an all-time low. And so they asked this Molly Jang, I think her name is Fast or whatever it is, on CNN. No, she's on MSNBC, about why it is that the Democrats are doing so poorly. This is what she said.
Policy versus politics problem, right? Biden world, very good on policy, grew the economy, very bad on politics, right? Unable to communicate with voters. We're seeing this sort of hangover from that a little bit. And also, losers are not popular. So they lost, people are mad, Democrats are mad. There's a ton of Monday morning quarterbacking.
So I want to stop and talk a little bit about Molly Jong-Fast and what she just said. So she said that the Democrat policies were really popular. I don't really understand what she means by that. And I don't want to relitigate the 2024 election because we don't really need to. I mean, we won and now America is prospering, will prosper and continue to prosper. But here's the thing, is that Biden's policies and Kamala Harris's policies, they were not popular. I mean, that's why they lost, is because they were not popular. And she says losers are not popular. Well, no duh. I mean, this was a vote. And Donald Trump not only won the popular vote, but he also obviously won the Electoral College. So, correct, Captain Obvious over here. You're right. Losers are not popular. The reason why you're a loser is because you were not popular. This is the kind of cutting edge analysis you get on MSNBC.
But the reality is there's good policy here, and it's popular too. Like, think about Project 2025. This summer, Project 20.
Here we go. Here we go with Project 2025.
Take a drink.
They have not learned. I mean, they are going to live and die by Project 2025. They are. Now, here's the thing. They don't like what Donald Trump is doing. They don't like that he is going to dismantle and this is all coming up in the audio bite. They don't like that he is going to dismantle the Department of Education. Well, I'd have to ask, what has the Department of Education done for our kids? Billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars we've invested in the Department of Education, and our school scores still suck. And kids are graduating, they can't even read. Kids are graduating, they can't even write. So yeah, you send that money back down to the states, but I digress.
2025, which is basically all the stuff Trump is now doing, right? Disassembling the Department of Education, ending the National Oceanic, the weather. I mean, this
is Trump ending the weather? Did you hear what she said? She said Trump is ending the weather.
Basically all the stuff Trump is now doing, right? Disassembling the Department of Education, ending the National Oceanic, the weather. I mean,
damn. Joan, why didn't you report that Trump is ending the weather?
Maybe I just didn't understand.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Now,
he's ending weather. It's over. No, forget those Tennessee tornadoes. They're not coming.
All that damn weather. It's about time somebody had the guts to cancel it.
I've gotten tired of this wind. Good, someone's getting rid of it.
By the way, just for the record, what she is saying, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has now begun to lay off 10% of its current workforce. And listen, this is what the American people have voted for. I was talking to a politician the other day, and he was saying that Donald Trump is actually, there's an off-the-record conversation, but he was saying that Trump is really serious about balancing that budget, really serious about it. And I think that the way that it was explained to me, it sounds like, because, the more you cut, the more you save, and the more you save, of course, the debt goes down. And so the way that they see it, they're going to keep cutting and keep cutting and keep cutting, and they're going to cut deep. Because it is literally a national security issue if we have a debt that keeps going up. Because it's not obviously good for our economy to be that much in debt, and it's also not good for our country, the bottom line. And for us to just keep spending into oblivion and spending into oblivion, and nobody seems to care about, number one, how much we're spending, but number two, what are we getting for our money? And I'm going to go right back to the example that I used a few days ago because, I mean, all modesty aside, I think it's a good one, where Donald Trump is spending $1 billion to figure out how to lower the cost of eggs, as opposed to spending all that money on DEI and regime change all across the world that doesn't do America a bit of good. So in this Molly Jong-Fast over there at MSNBC says that Trump is canceling the weather, the reality is that Trump's policies are actually a lot more popular than the Democrats. She says, oh, no. It's us that have the better policies.
This is all stuff that is in Project 2025. Bad policy, wildly unpopular policy. So here's the problem. Democrats actually have to do politics now, and that is where we are. But I do think they have much more popular policy. These things that Trump wants to do are very unpopular. The tariffs are unpopular. All of this is unpopular. So if they can't make this, if they can't message on this, I don't know what to tell them.
So it's interesting. And about the tariffs, I'm going to park that for another day because there's a lot of people that do have concerns about tariffs and they're legit concerns. But when she says overwhelmingly the Democrats have more popular policy, I would like to ask her, really? Because what the Democrats want to do is they want to bring back murderous, terrorizing gangbangers. Is what the Democrats want to do. Is it her contention that that's popular among Americans? Pretty sure that would be a no. It is 7:22. Joe Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan, what's coming up at 7:30?
So could Prince Harry be the next deportee? We'll tell you why his visa is being scrutinized. Those stories and more coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Matt is here. Listen, springtime is upon us. Is it time for you to finally get active again? Listen, if you've been sidelined with chronic back, neck, or knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. I've been a client for over 10 years. I've never felt better. Now, I arrived in Tennessee over a decade ago. I went through spinal decompression therapy for my chronic back pain. It really did help a lot. And every once in a while, I do need an adjustment. Dr. Mitch does indeed fix me right up. Now, right now, a great deal from the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They are offering the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th president of the United States. 47% off of spinal decompression therapy. Call them today. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out to get 47% off. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. The website, painisbad.com. And don't forget the 47 offer, the Big 47 offer. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. Again, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. Painisbad.com. Dan Mattis here. No, my vision had been getting worse for years, and I knew that I needed to make a change, but deciding where to go for vision correction can be really complicated. It does take a lot of research. And so I started asking around and looking online, and one name here in Middle Tennessee kept coming up, and that is Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. Now, their reviews are incredible. Many people online sharing life-changing stories about their procedures. Mine is now yet another. Dr. Horn, by the way, has been selected by his peers as one of the best physicians, one of the best eye surgeons, and one of the top 250 premier cataract surgeons in America. Most recently, he has been voted as Nashville's best ophthalmologist. Now, after learning all of this and discussing lens replacement with Dr. Horn, I did know that I had to take that leap, and I did. And I got to tell you, I wish I had done this years ago when I first started thinking about it. Now, if you're thinking about it, do not hesitate like I did. Call Dr. Horn, get a free consultation at 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. He's going to take the time to walk you through the process. 615-436-2020, visionforlife.com. 728, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Hey, Joan, you remember you and I spoke about this a while ago.
Yeah.
That theater in France where, you know, very woke France, and they had this production that they were doing to support all of those migrants. And so they had the bright idea to bring in a lot of migrants for the production of the play, and then they wouldn't leave.
Oh, right.
Do you remember that story?
Yes.
And the leftists who owned the theater, they had to cancel all of their plays, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't want to call the police because, you know, that would be unwoke of them. 3 months has gone by.
They're still there?
They just got kicked out moments ago.
Oh, my goodness.
3 months. And they very apologetically said, you know, we need our theater back.
Apologetically.
Very apologetically. They're hanging their heads in shame for having to kick out all these migrants. But now you have 400 migrants roaming the streets of France. Not really surprising because this is what France has turned into.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving right along, we got big news on Russia and Donald Trump. That is coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, now 7:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. NASA's 2 stuck astronauts are due back on planet Earth today aboard a SpaceX rocket. One of them is Butch Wilmore, whose home roots are in Mount Juliet. He's also a Tennessee Tech graduate, where he's an active board member. That school's president, Phil Oldham, tells News 2 he's looking forward to welcoming Wilmore back.
You know, we've been nervous and anxious for Barry, but every time we've had a chance to speak with him, he's calmed our concerns. He knows the importance of what he's doing, and he knows the risks that are associated with it. But there's something inside him that drives him to say, "Hey, if that's possible, I want to try that."
Splashdown is off the Florida coast early this evening. At Vanderbilt University, officials confirming that school is one of dozens of higher institutions being investigated by the Education Department for allegedly violating civil rights laws by offering race-based scholarships and programs. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon saying students must be assessed according to merit and accomplishment, not prejudiced by the color of their skin. University of Kentucky is also part of this investigation. Did Prince Harry lie on his application for a U.S. visa? If so, it could disqualify him and lead to him being booted out of the country. The Heritage Foundation has filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the Department of Homeland Security, alleging that the Duke of Sussex concealed past drug use on his visa application. You may remember that in his memoir, the Duke recalled a number of times that he smoked pot, snorted cocaine, and experimented with psychedelics. Well, the Department of Homeland Security is releasing that application later on today.
Do you think he wants to get deported so he can stay away from Meghan?
It is being spoken of as being, that's a possibility.
What? KGB is like shaking his head. What's the problem? I'm just saying. Whatever. Moving right along.
That he might not want to be away from his boys, though. It's 2 boys, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Well, they can all go back. You know, as Tom Homan said, we can deport the whole family.
Right. Yeah, but I don't know if anybody in England wants them back. You know, that is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 7:32, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Speaking of which, guys, if you're feeling tired, motivation just isn't there, maybe some weight gain and muscle loss, these could all be signs of low testosterone. And it is time that you found out for sure with my friends at Low T Center. Now, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test. And with their on-site lab, you will get your results back immediately. Now, this isn't your typical doctor's office. They simply specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each individual patient. Now, they've been helping patients for over a decade, and their treatment plans are optimized for each patient, personalized just for you. Nothing standard about Low T Center, absolutely not. Everything is customized for you. By the way, for current patients, Low T Center offers you a $150 referral credit for each new patient that you refer. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care. 7:35, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here. What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now? Maybe even a couple $100,000. Now, if you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with my friends at Loan Pronto. They are the leader in quickly converting your home's equity into cold, hard cash. So you can pay off all those credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Now, the average homeowner right now has over $300,000 in equity, and yes, that is your money. You should use it. Now, one client going through Loan Pronto got $150,000 out. They paid off all their credit cards, a couple of car loans, and a personal loan. They actually cut their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can also get approved in as little as 1 day. So act right now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com is the website, LoanPronto.com, 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Mess this morning in Joelton on 24, the westbound lanes at Whites Creek, Pike, exit 35. An overturned vehicle, been there for quite a while. The two left lanes are blocked off by it. Then if you're taking 65 northbound into Nashville this morning, right before Old Hickory Boulevard, there's a crash that blocks off the right shoulder and stop-and-go traffic behind it. Smyrna, 24 eastbound, we've got an accident at Sam Ridley Parkway at exit 66. And then a listener alerted us to an accident on 840. It's in the northbound lanes before Central Pike, causing quite a delay as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$23 minutes and counting, Joan.
Until
Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin talk on the phone.
Ah, yes.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall.
What kind of meat will be on that dinner table?
I got to tell you, it's going to be interesting. Well, here's a headline. And I saw this on X, and so it must be true. But it also makes sense. Breaking, Donald Trump is considering recognizing Crimea as Russian in future peace deal. So remember what Donald Trump has said. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this right now because I've got other things to do. But the call is coming up in 23 minutes. Remember what Donald Trump has said. Donald Trump has said that there is going to have to be a division of land, if you will. I think that this is what the president meant. Where, Ukraine doesn't have the cards. Trump has told Ukraine they don't have the cards. In my opinion, Russia does have the cards. And so Vladimir Putin needs to walk away looking like a winner. And so they've already got, Russia already has Crimea. They took it over back in, was it 2014? Back in 2014. And so Russia has been saying for, since then that Crimea is always going to be part of Russia. And so basically what Donald Trump would be suggesting to Zelensky is, listen, they've already got Crimea. So let's just go ahead and call that Russia or part of Russia, and we can get out of giving up other parts of your country. I think that's what Donald Trump is trying to do. And listen, agree or disagree, it does make sense. We had, as part of our poll yesterday, one of our poll questions was, do you think it would be okay, are you okay with Russia getting more Ukrainian land if it meant a ceasefire? And what were the final numbers on that, KGB? Do you remember with the Russian-Ukraine poll? I think there were more people that had an issue with Russia getting land in exchange for a permanent ceasefire.
Yes, if I remember, it was like 58% was no.
Yeah.
But it was still like really close.
It's pretty close. So there's a lot of people that don't want Vladimir Putin. Somebody sent a note into the super text line. So Putin gets everything that he wants. No, Putin is not getting everything that he wants. If Putin was going to get everything that he wanted, then Putin would get all of Ukraine, and then he'd keep going east, and NATO wouldn't exist. I mean, if Vladimir Putin got everything that he wanted, then that's what he wants. He wants the Soviet Union back again. Anyway, Trump is weighing recognition of Crimea as Russian territory to secure a Ukraine war ceasefire. U.S. officials also discussed urging the UN to back the move, signaling a dramatic shift to end the conflict 3 years in. No final decision yet. Donald Trump is expected to call Putin today and push those negotiations forward. Kyiv, by the way, demands Crimea back, but Russia insists it's forever part of Russia. And all of this is per Reuters. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But I just don't see, I don't see how Ukraine is going to be able to get out of this without giving up some land. And I see what Donald Trump would be doing. What Trump would be doing is he would be saying, if we give them Crimea, which they already have, and maybe there's like some negotiation within Crimea where Ukraine gets some of it, but I mean, it's officially Russia's. I don't know. That's why this whole thing is incredibly complicated. So this is going to be a breaking news story all day. As a matter of fact, remember that Donald Trump said a while ago that an announcement could be made as early as today. So we'll continue to watch that as we move along with our broadcast day here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Lots of Super Talk ahead, by the way, with Chris Hand coming up after the news at 9. And appreciate you listening here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Okay, so very quickly, I want to get back to the deportation or deporting of all of these Tren de Aragua gangbangers. Stephen Miller, I believe that Stephen Miller more than likely is the guy behind this policy of saying, okay, let's go ahead and use the Alien Enemy Act from, what is it, 1798? Is that what it is? To get these people out of here. And so you've got Stephen Miller. He is on Fox News, and they play audio from Andrew Weissman.
We're not at war with Venezuela. We're not at war with the gang that is the subject of the executive order. There is no invasion that is going on. And you also have to show that the people you're removing are actually part of that gang, even if there were an invasion or a war. And this statute may, in fact, be very unconstitutional.
All right. So that's what a lot of people on the left are saying, that this is unconstitutional. The crux of the question, as he is using the Alien Enemies Act, is it legal? And is it okay to apply, constitutionally speaking, to apply it to these illegal alien gang members? Well, this was Stephen Miller's first response.
So first of all, Andrew Weissman is an absolute moron. He is a moron, and he is a fool, and he's a degenerate.
All right, so I'm not going to get into the whole detail of this, but Weissman was part of the Mueller investigation, and Weissman brought all those charges against Paul Manafort. He was really, really aggressive. So Trump Nation hates this guy, and I understand why. But beyond all that, Miller justified, and I think appropriately so, justified using the Alien Enemies Act in getting rid of these illegal aliens. I've got that audio for you. Also some great audio from Kayleigh McEnany and where she stands on all of this. It is all straight ahead. 7:45, time to check the roads on WTN. .45 as far as your weather for today, a high of 71 and sunny. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So you heard Stephen Miller talking about his disgust and distaste and clear hatred for Andrew Weissman. And one of the things that Miller pointed out is something that I've been pointing out since this whole thing started yesterday, or over the weekend, which was that the Democrats, because of their Trump derangement syndrome, they're now being forced to side with literally the worst people in the world, Tren de Aragua. And Miller points that out and using Andrew Weissman as the example.
And now he's up there shilling for people who rape and murder Americans. That's who Andrew Weissman is. Behind every single one of those terrorists was another future rape victim, another future sex trafficking victim, another future murder victim. And most importantly, every one of those people was here illegally. They have no right to be in this country for 1 second longer. They are illegal aliens. They are foreign terrorists. They are alien enemies.
Yeah, and one of the things that he mentioned, some specific victims of Tren de Aragua, of course, Laken Riley being one of them. But in all of this, there is, and I mentioned this earlier, there is the question of constitutionality. Using the Alien Enemies Act was going to be controversial, and Trump did know this. This was used way back in 1798 and designed for deportation in case of an invasion. And so now you've got people like Andrew Weissman and others saying, we haven't been invaded. Well, number one, we have, but I think that part of what we need to do is we have to define what exactly happened. Because we were invaded, but it was a government-encouraged invasion. Joe Biden wanted this to happen. Not only did he allow it by having a wide-open border, but Joe Biden actually recommended it. He welcomed it. But the key here is the word invasion. Article 1, Section 4, the guarantee clause of the Constitution. It states that the United States government shall guarantee to every state in the Union a Republican form of government and shall protect each state against invasion. Now, some say the word invasion is meant to be defined as an organized military from another country. Now, I want you to think about that, and I want you to remember that. The word invasion as an organized military from another country. Others are going to say the word should be applied here as millions of people just come into this country from other countries, and their whole purpose is to, in my opinion, commit chaos, cause chaos, and try to take advantage of America. I want you to listen closely to what Stephen Miller says here, because part of his contention is that all these Tren de Aragua gang members, as Donald Trump is so often said, the Venezuelan government opened up their prisons and literally sent this murderous gang to our country to wreak havoc. Here's what he said.
People say, oh, it's an 18th century law. You know what else is an 18th century law? The Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights of the United States. The founding generation gave us this law, gave President Trump this law to repel this invasion from our country. And it was all detailed in the proclamation, how this gang was sent here by a foreign government and President Trump is sending them out of this country.
Yep, and he's right. And you heard that last part where he said that the Venezuelan government is sending Tren de Aragua here. Now, I've told you about the concept of weaponized migration, and we're going to revisit that right before Joan Jones newscast coming up here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you listening, because if you look at weaponized migration, and if you look at what that actually is, and I'm going to tell you basically where I'm going, is that there are some people, many people, who say that Venezuela is really acting as a proxy for our enemies, namely the likes of Russia, China, Iran, North Korea. And so you've got Venezuela sending these gangbangers here, trying to disrupt America, bring down America, cause chaos here in America. And Venezuela's government is acting as a proxy for our enemies. Therefore, we are under invasion by a foreign government. Going to prove that coming up here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line is open at 615-737-9986. 615-737-WWTN. Joan Jones has the news at 8.
Yeah, Israel unloads on Gaza this morning. We'll tell you why the ceasefire was broken. That's coming up here at
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, thank you.
You're welcome.
Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 7:50 on Nashville's Morning News. I've been telling you for years about USS, United Structural Systems. They are experts in waterproofing, concrete leveling, and foundation repair. Now, this is a great company, USS, United Structural Systems. They've helped me several times with my home, and that is why I proudly endorse them. Now, I'm one of, listen to this, 30,000 satisfied customers. And one recent review on Google, guy says that USS was highly professional. The crew was phenomenal from start to finish. They treated his home as if they were working on their own home. And he does give United Structural Systems 5 stars all the way. And I do as well. Now, they can help you with basement and crawl space waterproofing, all that rain, folks. You got to get down there. You got to check your basement and your crawl space. See if you've got moisture. See if you've got water. And you've got to turn to USS for all your waterproofing needs. Basement wall stabilization is another thing they can do, and foundation repair. We guarantee our best. Call USS 615-488-7855. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. USSTN.com. $7:54 on Nashville's Morning News. Mark Spain Real Estate. Sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Receive the strongest cash offer in the industry. You, my friends, are going to save time and make the most money with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. You can skip the hassle of getting your home ready to sell. Receive an all-cash offer and close in as little as 21 days. There's no showings, no open houses, and no stress. You know, they are the most experienced real estate team in the industry. You can trust my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. Now, you can find out what your guaranteed cash offer would be. There's no obligation. All you've got to do is call them, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. You can find them online. It is markspain.com to get that guaranteed offer on your home today. Visit markspain.com and start packing. $7:56, Nashville's Morning News. And so Donald Trump and the Trump administration, the legal justification for using the Alien Enemies Act is because they say, and it is true, that foreign nations, governments, are sending their bad guys here to cause chaos and try to lead to the downfall of America. The other day, we talked about weaponized migration. And this was, I think, about a week ago. I played you this audio from a guy named Joseph Humeyer. He's a national security scholar, and he's been studying this notion that our enemies are weaponizing migration to bring down our culture and bring down our country. He actually embedded with these migrant caravans a couple of years ago, and he's got a lot to say.
What I discovered back then in Guatemala is that the Central American caravans were planned, financed, organized, and steered by state and non-state actors to cause chaos in Guatemala, Mexico, and eventually the United States. How do I know this? I know this because I embedded with the Central American caravans and interviewed hundreds of migrants, but more importantly, saw firsthand who was behind this. It was a series of politicized NGOs from Honduras who were receiving money from U.S. and European charities, but more importantly, were getting guidance and direction from an anti-American adversarial nation state.
All right, so you just heard him say state and non-state actors. In other words, instead of using tanks and missiles to try to take over our country, our enemies are sending all of these horrific people into our country. And yes, I do believe that Venezuela, clearly they are our enemies. They're trying to take us down using mass migration. Many of these folks are bad guys.
That state is the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, who worked with the Honduran NGO known as Pueblos Sin Fronteras, which is Spanish for People Without Borders, who then worked with a series of NGOs and charities inside America, notably in California and Chicago, to create the Central American caravans. Now, this begs the question, why would the Venezuelan government care about illegal immigration? The answer is because Venezuela is a proxy of China, Russia, and Iran. They all understand that mass migration can be employed as a weapon of asymmetric warfare to erode national borders, steal sovereignty, and eventually have the United States collapse from within.
There you go. The greatest hits of American enemies, China, Russia, Iran, trying to take over our country or destroy it through mass chaos on our borders.
Remember, China's whole warfare strategy is based on submission, to have America give up without fighting. Far from a problem of root causes derived from socioeconomic hardship, natural disasters, or high levels of insecurity, which is abundant in all parts of the world, the center of gravity of the U.S. border and immigration crisis that enabled no fewer than 14 million illegal aliens to enter the United States in just 4 years is weaponized migration, an academic concept that has empirical evidence and an abundance of political science literature behind it. Weaponized migration is when state and non-state actors catalyze, manipulate, and or induce mass migration to achieve political and geopolitical objectives. Weaponized migration suggests that criminal illegal aliens inside the United States do not merely arrive here by accident. They were sent here by America's enemies and adversaries.
So there you go. It does seem to me like this weaponized migration does give Donald Trump the justification to use the Alien Enemies Act. This will no doubt go to the Supreme Court. We'll have to see how the whole thing plays out. It is 8 o'clock on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 8 o'clock. Now I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has checked one of its most wanted lists off its list. They, along with the Gallatin Police Department, have arrested Little Paige Drake, whose wife was found dead earlier this month. TBI had considered him armed and dangerous and offered a reward for his arrest. The head of Veterans Affairs says cuts are coming, but veteran care remains the first priority. Doug Collins visiting the Nashville VA Medical Center yesterday.
Look, I feel bad when anyone loses their job. I've lost my job. I've been told you're fired. I've been told you're letting go. I know what that's like in life, and it's not easy, but we're still going to provide for our veterans and for their communities.
Collins says the agency's restructuring is all about providing better quality patient care and cutting bureaucracy and fixing long wait times. Israel restarted a bombing campaign on Gaza overnight, the first bombs in 2 months as hostage releases have stalled out.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he ordered the strikes after Hamas refused to release more hostages. Hamas says Netanyahu has decided to overturn the ceasefire deal. Negotiations have stalled with neither side able to agree on a path forward. Israel says this new offensive will continue as long as necessary and could expand beyond just airstrikes.
ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reporting. There's been a major development in the case of a University of Pittsburgh student who has gone missing on spring break in the Dominican Republic. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert.
Parents of Suriksha Kunanki are now asking officials in the Dominican Republic to officially declare their daughter dead. She hasn't been seen for 12 days. Sources say her mother and father sent a letter to police acknowledging there's no evidence of foul play. We could learn today whether authorities will release Joshua Reeby, the man believed to have last seen Kunanki on the beach. He says they were hit by a large wave.
Well, hopefully this won't get the Epstein treatment, but President Trump yesterday did say the JFK files are coming out.
We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this, and I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's going to be released tomorrow.
He was on a visit to the Kennedy Center in D.C. yesterday when he made that announcement. Money News brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. After 2 straight winning days, the futures are down this morning. We've got Dow futures minus 99, NASDAQ futures down 105, and the S&P futures minus 20. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather just ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. It's an accident on Murfreesboro Pike, west of Una Antioch Pike, and that was reported by police. Jolton, an overturned vehicle still stuck on 24, the westbound lanes at Whites Creek Pike this morning. That's exit 35. The left lane is blocked off there, and things have cleared out on 840, the northbound lanes before Central Pike after an accident was cleaned up there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.806. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. How are you? Watch us on YouTube. I'm sure it'll be worth the click. And you can find us there. You can listen on the radio. You can download our podcast anywhere, anytime. You can stream us anywhere, anytime. Do you know what I thought was interesting, Joan Jones?
What's that?
I actually did a little calculation. Mm-hmm. Roughly 30%, 25-30% of the people that watch us on YouTube, watch us like on tape delay.
Why?
I don't know why.
The radio is delayed.
No, the radio's not delayed. Well, about 8 seconds.
When you say tape delay, do you mean like a day?
In other
or
words,
two
no.
late?
In other words, we get off the air at 9.
Yeah.
And throughout the rest of the day, people go back and watch the show on YouTube after it's over.
Whoa. You are really interesting to them.
Yeah. Whatever.
Well,
anyway,
to be fair, it is early morning. Like some people on their lunch break want to hear what you have to say, and the count shows that.
My 5 o'clock hour is fire, people, because my 5 o'clock hour, I get on there. I'm really fired up.
My left eye doesn't work at 5 a.m., so I'm like half there.
By about 8:35 or so,
You're petered
I'm
out.
pretty much done.
That's where we drop.
Yeah, that's where we drop.
Well, that's when the crisscross happens, and
that's exactly where
that's where all things go crazy.
So 1323 says, and I love, see if you can hear the sanctimonious nature of his comment. So Dan, it was almost like a well Dan, but it's so Dan. You know what? Hey folks, if you really want to have an impact, you've got to say well Dan, not so Dan. Well Dan gets my attention and it makes me perk up because I think it's so funny. So Dan, 1323. We were told the Mexican cartels were behind the migrations. Now we are told our enemies are behind the migrations. Which is it? Well, so this all in response to my last segment. The Mexican cartels work with China. China manufactures all that fentanyl or sends the ingredients over to Mexico and the cartels bring it across our southern border. China, if you listen to the last segment, and that's a really good segment, China also works with Venezuela. And the whole point of weaponized migration is that Venezuela is working with China and Russia and Iran to send their gang-banging, convicts into our country to try to take us down. And that is the justification, and at least it seems to me, that's the justification for using the Alien Enemies Act. So I'm waiting to see if 1323, because I like when people are snarky, and then I can be snarky right back. So anyway, there you go. And there's a lot of snark on the super text line, and it's fine. That's part of what I like. By the way, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General Pam Bondi says yes, this law does apply to this situation.
The Alien Enemies Act applies to a situation just like this. And it's interesting, people argue that it's such an old law. I think an old law is a virtue, not a vice. Think about that. Our founding fathers knew exactly what they were doing, and it applies to a situation just like this. Trans de Agua, they are a foreign arm of the Venezuelan government. They are organized, they have a command structure, and they have invaded our country.
There you go. And you know what? She's absolutely right. They have invaded our country. And so, again, it is sort of how you, as I said in the last hour, it is sort of how you define the word invasion. But she says right now we are actually, and we are, a lot safer now that all those guys are gone. We've got a long way to go.
There are 261 reasons why Americans are safer tonight, because 261 of those monsters have been taken out of our country. They're one of the most violent organizations in the world, and they had invaded America.
Yep, there you go. Now, I think that these attorneys, because this is all going through the ACLU and these judges and the critics of Donald Trump and Pam Bondi, what they're going to do, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but what they're going to do is they're going to go through all of these legal gymnastics to say that Donald Trump was wrong to do this. But you know what I think is, regardless what these groups argue, I hope the American people actually see what side the left is taking. Because this judge, Boasberg, literally wanted to re-import these killers and these rapists and these drug dealers. And you've got MSNBC and CNN. Oh, my God, Donald Trump wants to get rid of drug dealers and murderers and rapists. How dare he? You know what I mean? It is just crazy. And so I like the hyperventilating of the people on the left. It really doesn't matter to me who's right or wrong from a legal standpoint. I believe that Donald Trump is right in this. But either way, we come out ahead. If you think about it from a political standpoint, we come out ahead as conservatives. You know why? Because either way, Trump is able to, if ultimately the courts agree with him and he was justified in using the Alien Enemies Act, then we get rid of the bad guys. And that is exactly what we want. But if Trump loses, then we get to make all kinds of hay about how the Democrats and their cronies in the courts wanted to keep Tren de Aragua and MS-13 in our country and fought for them legally. Can you imagine that scenario? I mean, the Democrats, they want to keep these bad hombres here in America. They want them to come back. They wanted them to turn that plate around, bring those murderers back. It is insane. And this judge is insane.
Well, that's it. He's attempting to meddle in national security and foreign affairs, and he can't do it. What he's done is an intrusion on the president's authority. This one federal judge, again, thinks he can control foreign policy for the entire country, and he cannot. And right now we're evaluating our options.
Okay, so the administration may continue doing these flights?
Absolutely.
That's what I like to hear. Absolutely. By the way, in case you haven't heard, and by the way, Murphy Show did a great job of talking about this Judge Boasberg. Well, guess who Judge Boasberg's wife has been donating to? Listen to this. Boasberg's wife, Elizabeth Manson, has also been involved in partisan political activity, just like her husband, and even donated over $11,000 to Democratic candidates, according to federal data. Manson gave a combined $3,000 to the Hillary Victory Fund. I wonder if she lost. Did they get the money back? Probably not. Also, Hillary for America, when the Democratic candidate was facing off against Donald Trump in the 2016 election. Manson also wrote, and again, remember, this is the wife of the judge who wants to keep murderous illegal aliens in our country. She wrote on social media, "Be prepared to get weepy. It's an amazing feeling," Manson wrote on Facebook in the lead up to the 2016 presidential election and in anticipation of a Clinton victory that never materialized. She went on to bemoan the Trump victory shortly after, saying, "I needed a smile on my Facebook page after this ghastly week," she wrote. Manson is also the founder of Meadow Reproductive Health and Wellness. Oh, look, it's an abortion clinic in Northern Virginia. In-clinic abortions are safe, simple medical procedures. Can I just say that that is a sickening statement? Is there ever an abortion that is simple? Yikes.
It is horrifying.
That is that, okay, Joan, so that's not me over my skis. That is a horrifying statement.
It is. It is.
If you think an abortion is simple, you need to look in the mirror and you need to do some soul searching.
Normalizing it and celebrating it on your social media page is the most disgusting part in my mind.
Just go take a look at a sonogram and decide if that's simple.
Yep, you're right, Joan.
Yeah.
Manson's Clinic writes on its site, we offer both telehealth and in-person medication abortion services for patients up to 11 weeks of gestation. So there you go. That's the kind of household dude comes from. The judge that believes that we should keep importing and keeping in our country murderous illegal aliens, which, oh, by the way, there's a lot of people saying that he clearly does not have the authority to decide what our nation's foreign policy is, certainly not over the president of the United States, yet here we are. It is 8:16, time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather for today, a high of 71 and sunny, 48 now at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Elon Musk, of course, is all over the place. And today is a very big day. We do have, when are they supposed to splash down, Joan Jones? The
early
astronauts.
evening, they're saying. Early evening.
Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams. After months of tense anticipation, the two astronauts abandoned by the Biden administration undocked from the International Space Station at 1:05 Eastern Time this morning, which was about midnight. And the Dragon craft made by Elon Musk's SpaceX is on its way to Earth. The pair, along with NASA's Nick Hague and Russia's Astronaut, will now make the 17-hour descent back to Earth, and if all goes well, and according to plan, should splash down off the coast of Florida. Oh, Murphy Show gets the fun.
Yeah.
4:57 p.m. Central Time.
Yep.
All right. So that's going to be fun to watch. The duo are currently unable to walk. They're not able to walk on their own, apparently. They're going to almost certainly be stretchered to the hospital, making for dramatic scenes. Do you know the only way that I can describe this, Joan, and maybe I'm incorrect on this, but you ever go on like a roller coaster that goes round and around and around, and then you try to get off that roller coaster?
Never.
And like your equilibrium. Oh, you don't do that?
Oh, no.
I know what you're talking about.
All right,
But that's like being upside. You know when the roller coasters go upside down? Imagine that stuck for 9 months and then trying to walk after that.
Well, floating around.
So
you're not moving. Like,
But
trying
they
to
do-
walk again is the challenge.
Do they do any walking on that? They must
They
do.
can't. So they can't do anything when they're in there. They're not using any muscle at all.
So it's all floating.
So they're atrophied.
Yeah,
their muscles are
they're-
completely atrophied.
They're gonna look like my grandma, like she was in a wheelchair for years. I'm not even joking. Like just frail. They're gonna be frail.
And here's the thing, and I hope they're going to be okay, not to politicize what's going on with them physically, but the Biden administration, knowing what would happen to them physically,
Yes.
purposely left them so that Elon Musk would not have, or Donald Trump, would not have a victory.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, Trump told Elon, go get them early, because remember, it wasn't supposed to happen until late March.
Yeah.
And Trump a couple of days ago, whenever it was, said, no, you go get them now. Their muscles are atrophying or whatever. And Trump said, go get them now. And I mean, my fingers, man, they are crossed that Mount Juliet's own Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams, that they make it home safely. And so, by the way, some people in the text line apparently know Butch's father. Oh,
how about that? Yeah.
You know what? I'd love to, and we've had so many super text. I can't even. Super text line is so crazy these days, but I would love to interview one of the family members. Like, I would love if you happen to know Butch Wilmore's father or his sister or maybe his friends or whatever, I would love to interview one of you folks, because I think that what Butch has gone through, and what he has done is incredible. And he's from my town of Mount Juliet. So if you happen to know the Wilmore clan, maybe his father, his sisters, whatever it is, his family, I'd love to interview you. Send me an email. Let's see. Dan at 997WTN.com is my email address. Dan at 997WTN.com. A lot going on. 821, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 997 WTN. And again, the Super Text line is open. I'm getting through some. 615-737-9986. 821, and Joan Jones has the news coming up at 8:30.
What Israel has to say about the restart of a bombing campaign in Gaza. Also, President Biden's 2 grown children lose their taxpayer-funded security detail. Those stories are coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$8:21 on Nashville's Morning News. Joan, if you've got the super text line open,
Yeah.
don't read it yet.
Okay.
But look at what Jay had to say. J-A-E. It's funny as all get out. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. Dan Mandis here. Spring and summer, well, they're upon us now. What big events do you have planned? Whether it's a big corporate event, maybe a family reunion, maybe a wedding, maybe a graduation ceremony, maybe something for Easter. My friends at Nashville Tent and Awning, they can help you with an incredible enclosure that can be installed anywhere. Now, they've been around since 1884, these folks at Nashville Tent and Awning. They are a Nashville institution. And yes, they've worked with other Nashville institutions like Vanderbilt University, the Grand Ole Opry, the Tennessee Titans as well. Now, they are one of the top companies in Nashville. Think about your backyard. You can actually extend your living space with a backyard enclosure so you can enjoy it even when it gets really hot in the next couple of months. And again, if you have an event maybe for work coming up, they can help you there as well with one of their tents or enclosures. And by the way, they've also got awnings for any style or building as well that will improve the look and the feel of your home or office. Get some visuals and check them out online. Their website, I like to call it NTACO, NTACO.com. NTACO.com, that phone number, 615-329-3701. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Solid craftsmanship, built to last since 1884, Nashville Tent and Awning. $825, we got to fix that commercial. I have never in my life seen a commercial that just ends like that. Good Lord.
It's designed to get your attention.
Really? That really abrupt stop at the end?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it gets your attention, right?
Well, yeah, because I'm never ready. I'm moving right along. 825. You know what? I'm arguing with Sally on the super text line. That's what I'm doing. That's what I was doing.
Why?
Oh, I don't even want to talk about it. Anyway, 825, Nashville's Morning News. Big news from my friends at DT McCall's. Their gun safes are still sales tax free at DT McCall's. Now, listen, they are the largest Liberty Safe dealer here in the state of Tennessee. They offer free delivery and free setup at DT McCall's. Liberty's gun safes, they are outstanding. They are market leaders, as a matter of fact. Now, other places are going to charge you at least $500 for delivery and setup in bigger models and $300 for smaller models. But at DT McCall & Sons, they deliver every safe for free every time, period, and no setup charge either. So, save some big bucks right now on your next Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee. You've got Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, Franklin, always online, dtmccalls.com. 828, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTNR. Very quickly, a couple of things. So we're talking about how these astronauts are going to have to recover as they are stretchered out of the capsule as it splashes, I guess, into the ocean. And they're going to have to go through months of recovery. But, Joe, did you see what Jay, J-A-E, Jay's a female.
Yeah.
And read what Jay wrote.
She said, I can't stand looking at Sonny's ridiculous hair. Put a damn ponytail holder in that flying mess.
So if you've ever seen Sonny Williams, or is it Williams? I think that's her name.
I think that is.
Yeah. So her hair is always, it's like she stuck her thumb in like a light socket or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like standing up.
You know, and there's only so much room in that capsule. Her hair is so big.
You know what? If I ever get to interview Butch Wilmore,
You're
I'm going to ask him,
him?
how many times did Sonny's hair hit you in the face? Whatever.
And did you ever just like lose patience and say, put a damn ponytail holder in
That's
that
exactly
flying
right.
mess?
You know, they send us supplies. Can you send us a ponytail holder? All right. By the way, 4675. This does not surprise me. Guy says, or person says, I've seen posts on Facebook. People hope this space capsule blows up on re-entry.
Unbelievable.
Because of Elon Musk. What is wrong with these people? It's unbelievable. But you know what? We have Chris Hand coming up next, and he's a lot of fun. He's not like those people on Stupid Book who say such nasty things about Elon. Details straight ahead. It is Nashville's Morning News on WTN.
Good morning. It's now 8:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas appears to be over. Israel's United Nations Ambassador Danny
The
Danon.
Israeli Air Force initiated a series of attacks against Hamas targets in Gaza. We will show no mercy on our enemies.
Reports say hundreds are dead after the latest wave of airstrikes on the Gaza Strip this morning. Israel frustrated after Hamas broke a previous deal and stopped releasing hostages. The Tennessee Senate voted to pass an amendment to the state's constitution that would deny suspects accused of committing violent crimes bond at the judge's discretion. Here's how that vote sounded yesterday.
Ayes 23, nays 6.
Senate Joint Resolution 25 having received.
It comes after several accused criminals who were out on bond were arrested for new, even more violent crimes. Now, if the House approves this, the amendment would be put to Tennessee voters to decide. President Trump has cut off the security detail offered to President Biden's two grown children, Hunter and Ashley. Here's NBC reporter Gabe Gutierrez.
It is common for family members of former presidents to have Secret Service protection. Actually, typically they get it for up to 6 months after their parents leave office, but it's up to the discretion of the president.
In his announcement, President Trump made note of Hunter Biden's dishonesty over his finances. Hunter recently dropped a lawsuit because he said he can't afford the lawyers, but now he's on vacation with his Secret Service detail in South Africa. Money News brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stocks opened lower this morning after two straight sessions of wins. The Dow Jones Industrials right now are minus 120, NASDAQ minus 145, S&P 500 index is down 26. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 8:32, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Listen, spring cleaning time is here. Zero Res is offering a great way for you to get your carpets clean and save you money. Now, I've been using Zero Res for years because they refuse to use harsh chemicals. They refuse to use those soaps that other places use. They use powered water, and that's it. That means pure safety for your family and your pets. The thing that I really like about Zero Res, they're always on time. I believe that they're reasonably priced as well, and they've always got specials to save you money. Now, think about all of that rain that we had last weekend, all of that snow in the last few months. All of that has been tracked into your home, dirt and grime and bacteria. Now is the time to clean with Zero Res. Not only does Zero Res have the highest approval rating possible from the Mighty Carpet and Rug Institute, but Zero Res is rated the #1 cleaning system in the nation by an independent testing laboratory. When they clean, they leave nothing behind. Now, they've got great reviews on both Google and Facebook, and from the Mandis household as well. Now, they've got a great deal for March. 2 rooms of carpets clean for $109, 25% off of area rugs. Let me repeat that one more time. 2 rooms of carpets clean for $109, 25% off of area rugs. Restrictions may apply. Call them 615-535-9376, 615-535-9376. Find them online, ZeroResNashville.com. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Window Nation. This is my window company. They put 4 windows in my home in the last couple of years. I think they're going to be back here because they do great work. So if this is the year that you upgrade your home, start with a call to Window Nation. Now, they've got a great deal right now. The Dan deal, they're offering you a full 60% off all window styles. You pay nothing for 2 full years, no payments, no interest for 24 months. Now, that is a great deal for great windows from Window Nation. They've also got some of the best insulated windows money can buy. So not only are you saving 60% on the windows, but the savings last for years to come on energy bills. So you know that they've got over 20,000 5-star reviews, including mine, and Window Nation has a 96% customer satisfaction rating. Even Forbes has ranked Window Nation the highest on their list of best window installers. Now, don't forget that great deal, 60% off all window styles, and you pay no interest and no payments for 2 full years. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.
It is a crash this morning on 24, the eastbound lanes. This is in, looks like it's at 24 eastbound at Church Street, exit 81. And stop and go up to that spot from New Salem Highway. Traffic, the police there saying that the right shoulder is blocked off. Got an overturned vehicle still being worked on. 24, the westbound lanes in Jolton at Whites Creek Pike. Also an accident on 840, the westbound side before I-65. And one more, a crash in Priest Lake on Smith Springs Road at Rural Hill Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$8:37, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. That segment we did with Murphy Show yesterday.
Award-winning.
Award-winning.
I missed it.
Oh, it was so much. I love Matt Murphy. I just love being on the air with him. He's such a happy, wonderful person.
What did I miss?
What?
What did I miss? What happened yesterday?
Murphy.
Me and Dan invaded the afternoon show.
We invaded the afternoon show.
There was a hostile takeover.
And we were trying to leave, and then Chris throws down.
How about a cordial go beat your kids?
How about a cordial what?
Go beat your kids.
Go beat your kids. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
You need the context.
You need the context, and we don't have it here. We don't have the time to do it here.
I don't need it. I know Chris well enough to know that's not out of pocket for him.
But Murphy said I couldn't get him. Remember, he said you can mess with Dan really well. He can't mess with me. And then right before we left, I got him.
You did get him.
I did.
I think he acknowledged that too, didn't he?
I think so.
Okay, very good. We love you, man.
Love that guy. He's been crushing in the afternoons.
He has. He has. Am I easily gettable?
I think so.
Yeah. I say that with respect. It's true.
I am easily gettable, aren't I? I was arguing with Sally on the super text line, and I missed my cue because Sally got me on the super text line.
Sally's on timeout now.
Many such cases.
No, I don't put Sally on. I don't put people on timeout most of the time for little criticisms. And Sally doesn't like that I have to repeat certain things, like repeat a segment or whatever. Really, with me, I repeat the audio. And I try to tell the story in a different way, but I have to do that, of course, because...
Morning drive.
So 5 a.m., 6 a.m. listeners, and then you've got 7 a.m. listeners, then you've got 8 a.m. listeners. That's just how radio works.
Yeah.
And so, you know how many times I have, like every segment is unique. And I've got, really good segments and I don't repeat anything. And then somebody says, hey, how come you didn't talk about whatever it is? And it's like, I can't win.
You can never win.
I can never win. That's why I'm so gettable.
Just like in marriage.
You just got to tell them to go rewatch on YouTube.
That's what, answer Sally when you get on this thing. Anyway, moving right along. So let's describe what you brought to the table today, Chris.
All right, so I found this piece of audio that is insane. 15-year-old kid has found a way to rack up almost $1 million in gambling debts.
In gambling debts?
What?
Gambling debts.
Well, let's discover together, shall we?
How old is your youngest client?
The youngest gambling client we had was 15.
15. And are you able to share any other story?
Sure. So he came from an Orthodox family. He was a great kid, great family support system. Mom called because he had been gambling. They thought that there was some shady stuff going on. So when I first started meeting with him, he was very secretive, didn't want to share anything, then started to share that he had stolen his parents' and his grandparents' social security numbers. He had 4 FanDuel accounts. 3 he got locked out of. When we got into the 4th account, which was under his grandmother's social security number, he had placed $887,000 in bets. And it was over a 12-month period. And when his mom and I went through that and we were looking, he was betting all day during school. He was betting at night when he was supposed to be sleeping. You know, there was so many different bets. And on top of that, he had side bets going on in school with his peers.
You know, obviously, number one,
wow,
he needed to learn how to bet better.
Fair.
Because if he was losing all that, then I wonder if the family would have had a problem if he was winning.
If he had a net of $10 million.
I'm nervous to bet $10 on like those FanDuel apps and stuff, let alone 1 million, like 800 grand. And
so was that woman like a
she was like
counselor?
A gambling counselor.
So just for the record,
Wow.
I used to endorse FanDuel. So as part of those endorsements, I would
Steal social security numbers of family members.
Yes, that's exactly what I did. No, I would do bets on FanDuel. And I actually did not so bad, as a matter of fact.
I've never done the betting on FanDuel.
No?
No.
Do you bet, generally speaking?
No.
Oh.
Nope.
At all? You ever go to Vegas?
I've gone to Vegas.
You ever bet when you're in Vegas?
I did, and I cleaned up. I turned $100 into like $3,200.
Did you
Wow,
really?
that's
Yeah,
cool.
playing
What were you
blackjack.
playing? Blackjack, okay. That's like 21, right?
Yeah.
I do really well on roulette.
Do
Like,
you?
For whatever reason, yeah. You ever do roulette, Joan?
Yes.
So do you do like black or red? Like that's what I do. I do either black or red.
50-50 shot.
Yep.
It's a 50-50 shot. So yes, that's very safe.
As long as I don't have to think too much, I'm okay. That's why I don't like. That's why I don't like blackjack. It's like, wait, 17 minus 21. What is that again? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just whatever.
Blackjack's fun though, for sure.
Oddly enough, my daughter's a blackjack dealer.
Really?
Is she really?
Yeah,
Whoa.
she is. Yeah, and she tried to tell me the tricks of the trade. I forgot all of them. I was like, Dad, you're going on a cruise. There's a casino. You need to learn these things.
You got to learn how to count cards, Dan.
Well, they can't do that anymore. They use multiple decks. That's how they stop.
Interesting you know that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you want to listen more to this incredible story?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
So then he was stealing the parents' credit cards, and the way he would pay his bookies in school was to order Uber Eats for everybody, and he would pay them off with food. So there was he had all these different avenues to get money forwarded to him and to be able to pay people off when he lost. And it was just this, and he was in treatment with us for a while. He had done well. He had relapsed. He had stolen a credit card. Again, opened another FanDuel account and was another $5,000 in bet.
That's insane, right?
This segment brought to you by FanDuel.
15 years old, though?
So he's going to have such a problem as an adult, as a full-grown adult, because obviously he can't control it, and nobody stopped him.
Okay, so I have so many questions. How do you rack up that much debt on like credit cards, and you don't notice until you're like 900 grand in?
I have no idea.
Do you know what I mean?
His parents had to be wealthy. Right? He was using his parents' credit cards? Is that what I got from
He
that?
stole his parents' social security numbers and his grandparents' social security numbers.
Did they have their credit cards too?
Well, I think he opened them up in their name.
Oh my gosh.
He opened up new credit cards in their name.
Okay, that's honestly impressive for a 15-year-old.
That's what I was thinking.
That's pretty good.
It's
bad, but good.
Awful, but
impressively awful.
Impressively
There you
awful,
go.
yeah.
Impressively
What were you thinking
awful.
about at 15? Were you thinking about gambling like that?
I was just
No.
I was psyched for the new Call of Duty to come out. That was and the Grand Theft Auto, but that was about it.
Chris, what were you thinking at 15?
No comment. I plead the fifth.
Same.
Guys, come on.
I plead the fifth.
Okay, listen. I was thinking, when does the new Journey album come out?
Is that yeah?
When I was 15. That is exactly.
That
The
checks
new
out.
Journey album.
67,
Good
77, 82. Yeah, I was. 82. Journey's Escape album came in 1981. And so I was waiting for the next album to come out. That's what I was thinking about in 1981. 82.
15, it was 2009 for me. So Modern Warfare 2 was coming out, and I was stoked.
Did you hear that KGB admitted on the radio that he likes Nickelback?
What?
I stand by that statement. Bring it. I like Nickelback. I like Creed.
They were talking music
Daughtry.
on the Chad Benson show yesterday. And so people make fun of me. KGB over there is the king of wuss rock.
Yeah, 100%.
I like it.
Aren't they
I don't
Canadian
care.
too?
I stand by it. I don't care.
Nickelback?
Yeah.
You're Canadian. I like
I'm
you,
not
so it
Canadian.
doesn't. Yeah. No, it's fine. I
Yeah.
stand by it. I'm not backing down.
Actually, I'm just
Look at
giving
this
him a hard time.
photograph.
I like Nickelback. I told him, the greatest, it's like the middle-aged man's anthem. If you folks, no, listen. There is a song called I Hate My Life. It's by Nickelback. And if you have it, don't listen to it now because you're listening to me. However, after 7, when everybody's off the air.
I thought you were going to say after 9. Thank you for going to 7 p.
After 7,
See,
when
I say
Murphy
7 p.m.
But yes, at 7 p.m. when Murphy signs off, listen to Nickelback's "I Hate My Life." It is a great, great song, and it is. It's like the middle-aged unhappy man's anthem.
Sure.
There's an F-bomb in it too. Otherwise, I'd play it.
I can't listen to it then. I'm sorry.
So anyway, let's listen to this 15-year-old more.
In debt, and then in the other FanDuel account, he was negative $17,000.
Good
So at any point during his gambling, as far as you know, was his age ever verified or checked? Were the deposits ever verified or checked?
Never. And I tried to call FanDuel numerous times, and you just get that recording, and it's please leave a message.
And then, sorry, this voicemail is full.
No customer service.
What would you rather deal with? Catching your kid with like a bag of weed or a bag of cocaine, or almost $1 million in FanDuel debts?
That's actually a tough one.
Neither nor.
New poll.
But if you had to pick,
you can do that on the Chris poll, the quarterly Chris poll.
Quarterly Chris poll.
Weed, I wouldn't have much of a problem with, to be honest with you.
Weed is really tame nowadays.
But cocaine versus gambling, I don't know. What's worse?
It's tough.
Like, I've never done cocaine. I've gambled, but I've never been addicted. I've never really been addicted to anything. Have you been addicted to anything? I never have been. I just never have been.
I'm not the best social drinker, so I turned that down.
Okay. So you go into unsocial drinking very quickly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I don't do that anymore.
I have actually found a new addiction.
Do you? Mm-hmm. It's not Slippery Elm.
No.
Because
no.
we know how that turned out.
Yeah. I can never get enough Slippery Elm.
What's the new addiction?
Joan brought in some tasty treats from her husband. Holy mackerel.
I'm sending them home with you.
Are you really?
I didn't get any.
Yeah.
They're not going to make it home, just to let you know.
So you're hooked on Joan's husband's tasty treats. I just want to clarify.
Yeah, they're little balls of.
Okay. You're hooked on Joan's husband's little balls.
Yeah, yep, that's a quote. That's factual. That's on the air. That's on there forever.
Why did you say that?
Joan, please describe what these are.
Okay.
Because they are. They're
would you describe them as salty?
You're dreadful. You know that?
It's too late.
I didn't say anything.
No, not you. Him.
Yeah.
Or more savory.
Good Lord. Okay, now you're crossing the line.
They're sweet.
Why do I
HR is going to burst through the door any second.
Why do I do this to myself? Anyway, so Joan, please describe the balls.
They're called Irish potatoes, and any of my Philly friends will know what they are.
That's the nickname you guys came up with?
Yeah, that's them. Here they are.
Joan's husband's Irish potato balls.
Are you showing? So are you showing them to the camera?
I am. Yes. This
Are
is
we
an Irish
allowed
potato.
to? Is that going to break the terms and service of YouTube?
If you
perhaps there's cinnamon.
If you're watching WTN TV, I'm actually tearing up right now. I'm laughing so hard. So there you have
and
it.
to my husband, I'm sorry, babe.
I like Joan's husband a lot. I think he's
cool.
great.
He's actually an awesome dude. I met him at the live we did, and now all we're gonna think.
No, you're not.
Well, that's a you problem, young man.
Yeah.
That's not a me problem.
I'm sorry.
That's a you
Hey,
problem.
I'm not the one that's gonna eat him on the way home.
He's going to share with his family.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's worse or not.
You know what? Joan, do you remember? We all love Johnny B. Johnny's jerky, his beef, the beef jerky that Glenna made.
His wife's pickles.
Chris and I just got some this weekend.
We got some at church.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
that reminds me. I need to text Johnny to get some. His
There
wife's
were
pickles.
many times where he would bring in jerky for me, and it would make it home.
Yep.
Like so
Chris,
my wife would get in the car and she's like, "You
There's
had
been
Glenna
jerky."
jerky. Where's mine?" Oh my gosh! So then the wonderful Glenna actually would give me a bag, and then would send some
bag.
home for Amy. She would staple it shut.
That's hilarious.
And then she would text Amy and said, "Dan has jerky for you." So yeah, I have
That's good.
I'm also a guy who will if I'm going home, I'll get Riker McDonald's and there's only half a bag of fries left.
The McDonald's in Mount Juliet always seems to do that. They half fill the fries.
They do. That's what I said.
I smell a lie.
And then when I go to Pantero's, my favorite pizza place in Mount Juliet, I'll be driving home. I've talked about this before, and Sally, and I will eat. I'll eat a few pieces on the way home.
Yep.
And then my car smells of pizza for 3 days. my steering wheels is all pizza greasy. You know what I mean?
I know.
Don't have any napkins?
I guess that would be smart, wouldn't it, KGB?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Hey, leave to KGB to pull the air out of any bit. Just why? Hey, Gilligan's Island. Why couldn't they just get off the island if they can build a radio? Why can't they build the boat or fix the boat and go home? That's what KGB does.
I wasn't alive for that for the last 20, when that was out 20 years before I was born. I'm sorry.
So Chris's kids complained openly in church this weekend that he ate all the jerky before they were able to get to it too.
They did.
Well,
yeah,
it's called the dad tax. Sometimes you got to take more.
Dad tax, I like that.
There's an absolute dad tax.
You have to dad tax them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good way to teach them not to trust the government.
That day, yeah. Apparently that Sunday it was 100% dad tax.
Now people are bagging on the Mount Juliet McDonald's. There's several in Mount Juliet.
Oh man!
And it seems to happen at all of them. I don't understand it.
Each one.
Well, it also happens at Five Guys.
Yeah.
Five Guys is so expensive.
And
it's not worth
Whataburger.
it.
So anyway,
Whataburger is overrated.
I like them all.
No, it's a
Whataburger's.
No.
Whataburger's good.
Pretty good.
And
Best hamburger, real quick. Let's go around the room.
In-N-Out.
In-N-Out, well, yeah, of course, In-N-Out. But they're not here yet. So best hamburger you can currently get in Middle Tennessee.
Culver's is hands down the best burger.
Culver's, absolutely.
I've never had Culver's.
Really good. Really
yeah,
good.
haven't done it. I'm a sucker for the tin roof across the street. I went over there yesterday.
They also have great cheese curds.
Yep. Culver's almost every Friday night.
One right next to my house.
Love
so
it.
sometimes I get off the exit and just go right there.
All right, got to go. Boy, we got a lot out of that one video. That 1 minute 54 video. We filled 18 minutes of content.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Chris, what's coming up?
Well, we'll talk about those deportation flights. We'll talk about the Israel attack on Hamas. We'll talk about the actual cost. Did you cover the cost of what it is for a maximum security prisoner in America versus what we're paying in El Salvador?
It's pennies on the dollar.
I got the numbers.
Do you?
Yep.
Okay, good. Chris Hand coming up after the news. By the way, should we change the name of this thing to Handoff versus the Crisscross?
It's your show, Dan.
I didn't realize you guys were mocking me behind my back.
I haven't said a word.
We did it in front of you too.
Oh,
You
so
sure
that
did.
came about from yesterday's.
They make fun of the Daily Dan poll apparently, and then
you were aware of that,
and then you make fun of the Crisscross.
Yes,
but I accidentally happened upon Crisscross because I forget what I was doing, but I was in one of my usual word
in the
jumbles.
text line. The text line came up.
My wife said to me, she goes, "When Dan says crisscross, you need to stop saying crisscross applesauce. It's not funny."
Joan, what's coming up?
Israel lights up Gaza once again after Hamas reneges on that ceasefire deal. Also, there's new information about how world governments handled the COVID-19 virus. Those stories coming up at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 8:55. And then you literally said no promo. That is literally what you said, KGB.
That wasn't
no promo.
okay, for the record, that was not a promo. There's a traffic in here that should not be.
Oh, that's weird. Why don't you tell somebody who cares? 8:55. Just fix the damn thing, would you? Just kidding. Dan Mand is here for Busy Bee. It is spring rebate madness time at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Now, listen to these rebates. They've got a mini split 17 SEER or a heat pump 17 SEER, $800 rebate. Heat pumps 15 and 16 SEER, a $500 rebate. Duct sealing or repair, $300 rebate. So many ways to save with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. So join the Beehive today. You get a $50 discount rebate on your spring and fall tune-up. And by the way, that also means that you've already saved enough money to pay for that Beehive membership for the year. And yes, they'll even file the rebates so you don't have to. Check them out online, busybeehvac.com. That's busybeehvac.com. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833. Again, busybeehvac.com.